Chapter 809. Ancient Jade Saint Sovereign, long time no see. How'd you been? The old woman held her walking stick, standing at her spot. She lifted her head, and the layers of wrinkled skin on her face made her look more experienced. In the sky, the ancient Jade Saint Sovereign's entire body was glowing like a god descending to this world. His entire body was surrounded by many dazzling formations. The formations rumbled, bringing with them unparalleled energy fluctuations. Granny Mo, you're old. The ancient Jade Saint Sovereign was as gentle as jade. He looked like a young man. His eyes sparkled as he looked at the old woman, who was looking up at him. A complicated expression appeared in his eyes as he spoke. Time makes people grow old. Hundreds of years have passed. Flowers bloom and wither. Isn't it normal for people to grow old? Granny Mo held her walking stick, talking nonchalantly. A moment later, she didn't look at the ancient Jade Saint Sovereign anymore. She trembled as she walked toward the Valley of Gluttony. The formations around the Saint Sovereign gradually quieted down. Then, they dispersed, and their light dimmed. The Saint Sovereign landed, appearing by Granny Mo. His thick black hair hung down to his waist and spread out like a cattail leaf fan. He followed beside Granny Mo, walking together. Granny Mo sneered, holding her walking stick as she continued walking. As soon as they entered the Valley of Gluttony, the Saint Sovereign clasped his hands, and Granny Mo's faces looked nostalgic. How many years has it been since I came to the Valley of Gluttony? When the Valley of Gluttony was at its peak, you and I used to show our peerless talents here, said Granny Mo. The Saint Sovereign nodded. That year, the Valley of Gluttony was so powerful that it could suppress many holy lands. It was famous among the holy lands. At that time, the Valley of Gluttony's master was a peerless genius. He had overshadowed many Saint Sovereigns. At that time, the Valley of Gluttony had attracted countless experts. The peerless geniuses of the Hidden Dragon Royal Court had gathered here to chat and exchange experiences. That era was a beautiful era, an era that made people reminisce about it. However, after so many years, the Valley of Gluttony had fallen. The peerless geniuses of that era had become the overlords of an area. Some had become Saint Sovereigns, while others had become Sectmaster-level existences like Granny Mo and Amethyst Elder. The Valley of Gluttony has changed a lot, but I can still see the old haunt. The Sunset Lake is still there, but the flower viewing pavilion is gone. The Sage Master put his hands behind his back and walked to the shore of Sunset Lake. A mighty wind blew over like a gentle little hand, patting his face. The sparkling surface of the lake stretched as far as the eye could see. Back then, there was a large pavilion on the surface of the lake. It was called the Flower Gazing Pavilion. Countless geniuses gathered in the pavilion, chatting over tea and exchanging cultivation experiences. Back then, Granny Mo was also a beauty that surpassed all others. As the saintess of the heavenly secret holy land, she was naturally beautiful. Unfortunately, time was a merciless butcher's knife. The Holy Sovereign turned his head to look at Granny Mo, who looked extremely old, and sighed. Granny Mo's grin shattered the last bit of thought in his heart. Let those thoughts drift away with the wind. Granny Mo, are you here to taste the delicacies of the Valley of Gluttony? The Saint Sovereign looked at Granny Mo, smiling. The two of them walked along the Sunset Lake, slowly and leisurely. Granny Mo supported her waist with one hand, smiling and shaking her head. She held her walking stick, trembling as she walked. Granny, did you predict something? The Saint Sovereign squinted his eyes, asking solemnly. The heavenly secret holy land could predict everything in the world. As Granny Mo was a sect master-level giant in the heavenly secret holy land, she wouldn't come to the Valley of Gluttony for no reason. After all, the Valley of Gluttony had declined. It wasn't the flourishing force it used to be. The ancient Jade Saint Sovereign is right. I'm here this time to taste the delicacies. That year, the Valley of Gluttony was famous for its delicacies. I still can't forget those delicacies. I don't have much time left, so I came to the Valley of Gluttony to remember the good times of the past, said Granny Mo. The two of them walked past many villages that had been rebuilt. Not far from them was the Glutton God's restaurant, which was really bustling. Even in the middle of the night, its lights were still twinkling. The Glutton God's city was still brightly lit at night. The radiance was dazzling, and the aroma of the delicacies lingered. Even though it was late at night, the business was still going on. Perhaps only the Glutton God's city could have this kind of liveliness. Being the capital of delicacies, it naturally attracted countless people to come and taste the delicacies. The disciples of the royal court's holy lands, the experts of the other top forces, the wandering cultivators, and the lonely swordsmen were all attracted by the delicacies. They came to the Valley of Gluttony to satisfy the enjoyment of their stomachs and their minds. The Saint Sovereign and Granny Mo stepped into the Glutton God's city, squinting at the bustling city that never sleeps. The fragrance lingering in the air made the two experts take a deep breath. They couldn't help but reminisce about the past. They hadn't seen such a scene for hundreds of years. Today, seeing it again, they felt inexplicably touched. Granny Mo, I have something to do. I'll leave first. See you later. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign clasped his hands, smiling at Granny Mo. Then, he took a step forward. It was as if he had shrunk the ground to an inch. In just a blink of an eye, his figure disappeared. Granny Mo leaned on her walking stick, smiling strangely as she watched the ancient jade Saint Sovereign disappear. She trembled as she held the walking stick, walking slowly. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign, I've calculated with my fingers. If you court death, you will face a great calamity. The Acheron Helplessness wine is a legendary dish. It's made from a second layer of the Netherworld's Acheron River and Earth Prison, the Acheron grass, and the helplessness flower by the Bridge of Helplessness. Together with the Spring of Life, it's a kind of good wine. It can be used as a dish or as a medicine. The serious voice of the system echoed in Bu Fong's head, introducing the Acheron Helplessness wine to him. Bu Fong rubbed his chin, strolling around the restaurant. The Netherworld's Earth Prison? The Netherworld also had an Earth Prison? What kind of place was the Netherworld, after all? Bu Fong was suddenly curious about the Netherworld. However, although he was curious, Bu Fong was too lazy to explore it. No matter what, the Netherworld was a little far from him. All of a sudden, Bu Fong was bewildered, slightly frowning. System, if the ingredients to make the Acheron Helplessness wine are so precious, did you provide them? Bu Fong suddenly had a bad premonition. The system's reward this time was only the brewing method of the Acheron Helplessness wine. However, it didn't mention that it would provide the Acheron grass, the helplessness flower, or the spring of life. This also meant that if Bu Fong wanted to make the Acheron Helplessness wine, he would need to find these ingredients. To find these ingredients, did he have to go to the Netherworld? The system doesn't provide the ingredients to make the Acheron Helplessness wine. The host needs to find them himself, the system said seriously. Hiss! The corners of Bu Fong's mouth twitched. He had just said that the Netherworld was too far from him. Now, it seemed that the Netherworld wasn't far from him at all. Bu Fong rubbed his head, then walked out of the kitchen, entering the restaurant. The Lord Go closed his eyes, lying under the path-understanding tree and sleeping soundly. Hua, the seven-colored sky devouring python, also leaned on the side of the Lord Go. It squinted its eyes, constantly inhaling and exhaling. Between its mouth and nose, there was white energy moving. The ice-cold, pitch-black Netherworld ship sat quietly by the side. Far from it, Chu Changxing's silver hair cascaded down. He was lazily lying on a chair, taking a nap. Bu Fong thought for a while, then walked to the Netherworld ship. Since he could go to the Netherworld to find the Acheron grass, the helplessness flower, and the spring of life, he had to understand the Netherworld well. If others wanted to understand the Netherworld, it would be difficult. However, in Bu Fong's restaurant, there were two big shots of the Netherworld. Of course, he could ask them. Lifting his hand, he knocked on the deck of the ship. Instantly, a lazy groan arose from the Netherworld ship. A moment later, you, with a cold face, came out of the Netherworld ship. Bu Fong, are you looking for me? You looked at Bu Fong, her face emotionless. "I'm looking for you to talk," Bufong said, the corners of his mouth rising. You arched her brows. Then, her long, black hair cascaded down. Her entire body was like a beautiful snake as she crawled out of the netherworld ship. Her long, slender legs stood on the ground. You pulled a chair, sat down, and crossed her legs. She indifferently looked at Bufong. Her jade-like nose slightly rose, and she snorted. "Do you know the acheron grass? Where's the flower of helplessness?" Bufong also pulled a chair, sitting in front of you. You were surprised looking at Bufong. The acheron grass is a kind of spirit herb that grows on the banks of the Acheron River. It has strong toxicity and medicinal properties. It's a very contradictory spirit herb. The acheron grass has 1 to 4 leaves, and each leaf is 1,000 years old. It's really precious. The Hidden Dragon continent doesn't have this kind of spirit herb. You stopped looking at Bufong. Continue talking. Don't stop. I'll make you a midnight snack later, Bufong said. You looked at Bufong strangely, as though she understood what Bufong wanted to know. Then, she raised her hand. Instantly, a jet of pitch-black energy expanded. That energy instantly filled the air, covering her and Bufong. Chu Changsheng, who was taking a nap, suddenly twitched the corners of his mouth. How did this woman know that he was eavesdropping? The acheron grass is very rare. It grows on the banks of the Acheron River. The Acheron River belongs to the area of Earth Prison in the Netherworld. The Bridge of Helplessness also belongs to Earth Prison. The Netherworld is divided into 3 layers. The first layer is the Ruin Prison, the second layer is Earth Prison, and the third layer is the Nether Prison. Each layer is as far apart as the sky, and they're connected by the Netherworld staircase. They don't communicate much, and their relationship isn't good. The Netherworld creatures that the Holy Lands of the Hidden Dragon continent are talking about should be the creatures from the Ruin Prison. The creatures from the Ruin Prison are incomparably brutal. Killing is their second nature, and they are extremely aggressive. If the experts from the Ruin Prison really break through the bit wall of the Hidden Dragon continent, it will indeed be a massacre. You said. Bufong was dumbstruck. He didn't know that the Netherworld was so vast and huge. According to Yu's tone, you, Lord Go, and Hades Era could all be Netherworld experts from Earth Prison? What about the Nether Prison? Bufong asked. I can't say. The Nether Prison is the most mysterious place in the Netherworld. I don't know, you said frankly. A moment later, she waved her hand, dispersing the black energy cover. She blinked her big, black eyes, which were like ink, and stared at Bufong. She had said what she needed to say. Now, it was time for Bufong to fulfill his promise. Bufong rubbed his chin, thinking for a long time. Ruin Prison, Earth Prison, Nether Prison, 3 great prisons. All right, what Bufong cared about was the Acheron River in Earth Prison. He needed the Acheron grass and the flower of helplessness. He didn't know when he would need to go to Earth Prison. Bufong stood up, raised his hand, and gently rubbed Yu's head. Yu's black eyes looked at Bufong. Bufong turned around, walking toward the kitchen. Since he had promised to make supper for you, he would do it. However, Bufong had just taken a few steps, and before he could enter the kitchen, a knocking sound came from the closed door. Bufong was stunned. His Taotai restaurant didn't open at night. Who'd be knocking on the door? Gently furrowing his brows, Bufong walked toward the door. Creak. The big door slowly opened. At the door, a young man, who was as plump as jade, stood in front of the door, looking at Bufong with a gentle smile. Owner Bu, we meet again. I came from thousands of miles away to have a good taste of your cooking, and at the same time, settle accounts with you. Chapter 810. The ancient Jade Saint Sovereign was as plump as jade. His thick black hair cascaded, and his bangs fluttered in front of his forehead, brushing past his handsome face. However, his words made Bufong a little confused. Bufong slightly narrowed his brows. He could feel a terrifying, murderous aura coming from the other party. This murderous aura was filled with malice and hostility. As Bufong's spirit sea expanded, Bufong became more sensitive to emotions. Bad intentions? Knocking on the door in the middle of the night with malicious intent? Bufang raised his brows, assessing the man in front of him. "Do I know you?" asked Bufang seriously. The corners of the ancient jade Saint Sovereign's mouth rose, revealing a charming smile. "Maybe you know me, but I know you." I boom. After a loud bang, the Saint Sovereign's face froze. A gust of wind blew, blowing the 2 strands of hair on his forehead. This kid, how dare he? Looking at the restaurant's door close again, the ancient jade Saint Sovereign felt his mouth twitch. He got the door slammed in his face. He hadn't even finished talking yet. Were all the young people these days so rude? The ancient jade Saint Sovereign suppressed his anger. He raised his hand and knocked on the door one more time. Squeak. The restaurant's door opened one more time. Bufang's emotionless face appeared in front of the ancient jade Saint Sovereign. "What's the matter?" asked Bufang. "Why did you close the door?" "I haven't finished talking yet." The ancient jade Saint Sovereign was angry, but he resisted the urge to slap Bufang to death. "You know me, but I don't know you. So, why should I talk to you so much?" said Bufang, his face emotionless. Bufang's matter-of-fact face made the ancient jade Saint Sovereign's anger rise continuously. "All right, then let me taste your cooking." Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, the restaurant's door slammed shut once again with a loud bang. The bangs in front of the sacred expert's forehead fluttered again. Why? The sacred sovereign's eyes were wide open, his nostrils seeming to circulate dragon-like true energy. He had already said that he was here to taste the dishes, so why did he have to close the door? Why did he reject her? This kid really didn't give him any face. The Saint Sovereign's face darkened. "Why did you close the door? Since you open a restaurant, isn't it for business?" The ancient jade Saint Sovereign said coldly. His voice traveled into the restaurant. There was a long silence. Then, Bufang's calm voice came from the restaurant. "If you want to eat, please come during the Taodai restaurant's business hours. We won't serve you outside of business hours." Come during business hours? It was just a restaurant. How could there be such a mess of rules? "Do you know who I am? If I wanted to flatten your restaurant, I could do it with a wave of my hand." The Saint Sovereign took a step back, and his face darkened. Around his body, many formations twinkled, radiating thousands of light beams. "Noisy. Why don't you try?" Bufang said casually, his voice discontented. Of course, Bufang didn't like this kind of annoying person. Anyone who had ever eaten in the Taodai restaurant knew the restaurant's rules. At first glance, he knew this person was a new customer. It was okay that he didn't know the rules, but he had told him the rules and even threatened him. How could there be such a weirdo? Far from them. Granny Mo was trembling as she approached. Leaning on her walking stick, she saw the ancient jade Saint Sovereign from a distance. Granny Mo clasped her hands behind her back, her face smiling playfully. Courting death was the most interesting thing. As it could make her get hurt, it proved that this restaurant or the person behind it wasn't ordinary at all. This kind of extraordinariness was beyond her realm. Perhaps he had reached the realm of a Saint Sovereign of a holy land. Granny Mo smiled. However, although she wanted to watch a good show, she wouldn't let the Saint Sovereign suffer. No matter what, a Saint Sovereign couldn't die here. If he had to die, he had to die in the Hidden Dragon Heaven Pass. That place needed existences like the Saint Sovereign. The spirit talismans around the Saint Sovereign spun, releasing terrifying energy. In the restaurant, Bufang rubbed his head and slowly walked toward the kitchen. In just a short while, he had disappeared from sight. The lazy Nethery's beautiful eyes indifferently glanced in the direction of the door. This time, the enemy wasn't bad, but he was courting death, flattening the restaurant. It was a fantasy story, but Chu Changsheng didn't rest. Chu Changsheng didn't rest anymore. He opened his eyes, looking at the entrance with a serious expression. The Holy Sovereign had given him a lot of pressure. It made his pores open, releasing spirit energy. This time, the enemy was really formidable. Lord Go raised his paw, scratching his nose. Then, he continued to snore. He didn't care about the Saint Sovereign at all. The Saint Sovereign looked at the closed door. The flame of anger in his heart shot up. He exhaled softly, his eyes focused. His body suddenly floated up and retreated backward. He hovered in the air, his body radiating dazzling light. He looked like a god, mesmerizing and enchanting. A jade talisman floated on his body. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign raised his hand, gently flicking his finger. Buzz, his jade-like, sparkling finger touched the jade talisman. Instantly, the jade talisman buzzed, and a strange wave of energy expanded. The jade talisman swayed, heading toward the Taodai restaurant. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign's eyes were cold. As soon as the jade talisman touched the restaurant, it would collapse under the terrifying power of the talisman. The attack power of this jade talisman was really terrifying. It was the ancient jade Saint Sovereign's attack, and he knew how powerful it was. The jade talisman swayed, coming closer. However, the restaurant's door was still closed, as if it didn't want to open. A moment later, the jade talisman grumblingly hit the restaurant's door. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign's hair fluttered as he raised his hand. Explode. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign spat out one word. Then, the jade talisman sparkled with thousands of beams of light. From a distance, Granny Mo's eyes focused. Did the ancient jade Saint Sovereign want to blow up the restaurant? All of a sudden, the ancient jade Saint Sovereign's eyes shrank. His chest heaved up and down, his eyes gazing at the restaurant's door. There, the door was still closed. It didn't look like it was going to open. His jade talisman, which contained terrifying energy, dimmed and fell to the ground, shattering. What's going on? The ancient jade Saint Sovereign took in a breath of cold air. His jade talisman couldn't blow up the restaurant? Narrowing his eyes, the ancient jade Saint Sovereign became vigilant. As a Saint Sovereign of a holy land, his vision was extraordinary. His jade talisman didn't have any problem. However, it couldn't even shake this simple restaurant. Why? There must be something fishy going on. Remembering that his two clones were mercilessly torn apart, the Saint Sovereign's heart tightened. It was the netherworld creature who had destroyed his clones. Oomph. If there's really a netherworld creature, then I'll have to check it out today. The hidden dragon heaven pass tribulation is around the corner, and there's such a terrifying netherworld creature in this continent. How can I be at ease and go to the heaven pass? The ancient jade Saint Sovereign said coldly. His voice reverberated and thundered. The jade talisman array around him glowed one more time. One jade talisman after another began to circulate. His hand rose, and 3 jade talismans hovered in the shape of a triangle in front of him. His eyes shrank as his palm pressed on the jade talisman. Buzz, the 3 jade talismans buzzed, flying toward the restaurant. This time, the energy contained in the 3 talismans was even more terrifying. The void seemed to twist under these talismans. After the ancient jade Saint Sovereign blasted out a move, he clasped his hands behind his back and slowly landed on the ground. If this attack didn't work, he would retreat immediately. He wouldn't linger here. His mind flickered, and the ancient jade Saint Sovereign saw Granny Mo in the distance. He furrowed his brows. Granny Mo was here too? Was she here for this restaurant? Buzz, the 3 jade talismans trembled as they flew. Shortly after, they hit the restaurant's door. Thud, a clear sound arose. The energy in the 3 jade talismans seemed to vanish, falling on the ground. Just like the previous jade talisman, all of its energy had disappeared, and its power was gone. The Saint Sovereign took in a breath of cold air. This restaurant wasn't ordinary at all. Time to go. In the restaurant, lying under the path understanding tree, Lord Go opened his drowsy eyes. His dog eyes seemed to see through the Saint Sovereign in just a blink of an eye. The dog's mouth twitched. In the kitchen, Bu Fong, who had disappeared, reappeared, and his slender figure gradually became more and more corporeal. Bu Fong wore an emotionless face. He walked to the path understanding tree, standing next to Lord Go with a funny grin. The Lord Go was bewildered. Thud! Bu Fong raised his hand and plucked a strand of dog fur. Lend me a strand of your dog fur, Bu Fong said casually. The Lord Go's dog nose widened, and his black face darkened. The Lord Go had said that the Lord Go's dog fur didn't come from the wind. A moment later, Bufong raised his hand, flicking his finger. That strand of dog fur fluttered out, swaying as it flew out of the door. There was a loud rumble. The restaurant's door opened. That strand of dog fur flew out, swaying. Then, while it was flying, the dog fur emitted black energy, turning into a fat, pitch-black dog paw. The dog paw roared, aiming at the Saint Sovereign outside the door. "You want to run away after showing off? How can you be so happy?" Bufong said casually. Outside the door, the ancient jade Saint Sovereign was still shaken. His pores shrank, and he was frightened. It wasn't because of anything else, but because the restaurant's door opened all of a sudden, and a fat dog paw was coming at him. Chapter 811. The fact that the ancient jade Saint Sovereign's jade talisman couldn't break the restaurant's door didn't surprise Bufong. After all, the system had decorated this restaurant, so it was considered an item of the system. No matter how strong the ancient jade Saint Sovereign was, he was still too young to challenge the system. Thus, when the jade talisman approached the restaurant, the terrifying explosive energy inside it disappeared. It was definitely because of the system. Even if it was Hades' era, facing the system's rules, he couldn't do anything, let alone this Saint Sovereign. Comparing Hades' era and the ancient jade Saint Sovereign, Bufong thought that Hades' era was stronger. He didn't have any proof. It was just his intuition. Sometimes, Bufong trusted his intuition. With Bufong's mental force, of course, he knew the ancient jade Saint Sovereign's little trick. Thus, Bufong couldn't let the other run away after showing off. Thus, he plucked a strand of Lord Go's dog fur. With a flick of his finger, the dog fur flew out, turning into a pitch-black dog paw in the void. That dog paw made the ancient jade Saint Sovereign's pores shrink. That dog paw was fat and full of energy. The void seemed to twist under this dog paw. It was even more threatening than his previous jade talisman. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign's face changed dramatically. He didn't think that a dog paw would fly out of the restaurant. Was it that young old boo's counterattack? The ancient jade Saint Sovereign snorted. His body was filled with energy again. The terrifying energy surged, and the jade talismans floated around him. A buzzing sound echoed. A moment later, the ancient jade Saint Sovereign pointed his finger. Pieces of jade talismans flew toward the dog paw in the void. The jade talismans trembled. As they shook, they exploded. Boom, boom, boom. Pieces of jade talismans exploded on the dog paw. However, the dog paw was like a hot knife cutting through butter. It kept swinging. The void twisted, and the energy collapsed. The color of the pitch-black dog paw gradually dimmed. Rumble. At this moment, the dark night was suddenly illuminated as if it was daytime. Many people in the surroundings sucked in a breath of cold air when they saw this scene. What happened to the new restaurant this time? Why was there such a terrifying fluctuation again? In the distance, when Granny M.O. saw the dog's paw, the skin on her face trembled like a sieve. That dog's paw gave Granny M.O. a terrifying feeling. That feeling didn't seem like it came from the netherworld creatures of the ruined prison. However, it was even more terrifying than the netherworld creatures of the ruined prison. Granny Mo's hair fluttered in the wind, and her walking stick spun in place. She loosened her grip, and a huge compass the size of a mooncake appeared in her hand. The engravings on the compass were vivid and lifelike, as if they were about to come to life. They were all scurrying about. Granny M.O. pinched her fingers and pointed at the compass. She gazed at the dog's paw and started to calculate. However, after deducing for a while, Granny Mo's face suddenly became as pale as a sheet of paper. Then, the compass in his hand emitted a sharp sound. In the next moment, it exploded into pieces and fell to the ground. Granny M.O. coughed up a mouthful of blood. She staggered a few steps back and finally fell on her butt. Her walking stick lost its balance, falling on the ground with a loud thud. A taboo existence. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign has courted death this time. Blood trickled down the corners of the old woman's mouth. Her face was ashen as she gazed at the dog's paw. Her skin shivered unceasingly, and some age spots appeared on her face. The old woman had become even older. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign's eyes were cold. Beams of jade talismans flew out, bombarding the dog's paw. The paw shook, and the energy moving on it became much thinner. As his aura rose, the ancient jade Saint Sovereign's body became like a small sun, blooming with the ultimate radiance. It illuminated the sky, becoming extremely bright. All of a sudden, the rumbling came to an abrupt end. Everything seemed to have come to a standstill. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign's pupils shrank. His nostrils flared as he gasped for air. He didn't have any more jade talismans. The dog's paw, which had become thinner, swatted at him. Still couldn't stop it. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign's heart shivered. It was the first time he felt so frightened. How many years had it been since he had felt this way? Other than the first Valley Master of the Valley of Gluttony, who had given him this feeling of despair, he had never felt this way again. It was a suffocating feeling. Buzz, without the jade talismans to stop it, the dog's paw moved faster. In just a blink of an eye, it appeared in front of the ancient jade Saint Sovereign. Puff! Gently, the dog's paw patted the ancient jade Saint Sovereign's face. Slap! The dog's paw exploded, but at that moment, the sound of someone slapping his face arose. After slapping his face, the dog's energy exploded, disappearing completely. The Saint Sovereign tilted his head and widened his eyes as he watched the strand of black dog fur trembling as it floated down from the sky. Then, it automatically ignited and disappeared. A strand of dog hair. The feeling that made him feel despair was caused by a strand of dog hair. Did he see it wrongly? But he didn't see it wrongly. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign's face became very interesting. His cheeks shivered. A moment later, he exhaled. Mother of Asterisk Cur. He was a Saint Sovereign of the ancient jade Holy Land, but he was almost scared silly by a strand of dog hair. If this spread out, he would become the laughingstock of the entire royal court. Get lost. If you want to eat, come back tomorrow. If you want to cause trouble, you'll have to bear the consequences. Bufong's soft voice drifted out of the restaurant, making the ancient jade Saint Sovereign's body shake. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign's forehead was beaded with sweat. Bufong's words made the flame of anger in his heart rise again. However, the dog's paw made him shiver. If it was a real dog's paw, how could he resist it? Turning his head, the ancient jade Saint Sovereign looked at Granny Mo, who was sitting on the ground, her face as pale as a sheet of paper. From Granny Mo's face, the ancient jade Saint Sovereign saw fear and confusion. The broken compass on the ground made the ancient jade Saint Sovereign's eyes shrink again. Granny Mo couldn't calculate how intimidating the netherworld creature in that restaurant was. That restaurant wasn't ordinary at all. Even with Granny Mo's power, she couldn't calculate an existence like that. Then it could only be a taboo existence. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign exhaled. Slowly, he got up from the ground, turned around, and slowly left. The existence in that restaurant made him feel a sense of danger. Granny Mo also got up from the ground. Bending her waist, she picked up the broken compasses. Really, this old granny wants to eat something good, but I can't. I'll come back tomorrow. Leaning on her walking stick, Granny Mo patted the dust on her body, turned around, and left. The restaurant's door was closed, and everything became quiet again. Inside the restaurant, Bufong stood at a spot, facing the door. After the noises outside disappeared, he turned around and walked to the kitchen. The Lord Go's black dog face darkened, his dog eyes squinting at Bufong. I got it. One sweet and sour ribs. Bufong patted the Lord Go's head as he walked past the Lord Go. Then, he continued to walk to the kitchen, disappearing shortly. Lord Dog let out a puff of white smoke from its nose, and its head tilted to the side. Sweet and sour ribs wanted to soothe the Lord Go's pain of losing its fur. Young people these days. Naughty. Shortly after, Bufong walked out of the kitchen, holding a steaming plate of fragrant sweet and sour ribs. Bufong placed the sweet and sour ribs in front of Lord Dog, who had its head tilted to one side. The corners of Bu Fang's mouth curled up. He stroked Lord Dog's spotless fur, stood up, and went back to the kitchen to practice cooking. The Lord Go's dog nose twitched. Eventually, he gobbled up the ribs on the porcelain plate. His saliva splashed, and he looked so excited. How could one see the pain of losing his fur? It looked like he hated that he couldn't use more fur to exchange for more sweet and sour ribs. Heavenly Secret Holy Land Emolyoji held a bamboo tube, pouring fine wine into his mouth. The thick aroma of wine diffused, filling the entire place. He sat in front of the saintess room, where she was cultivating in seclusion. The saintess was studying the heavenly star catcher disc. Once she finished, according to Granny Mo's request, the saintess had to go to the place where her heart demon was. Honestly, Emolyoji couldn't wait. The Valley of Gluttony was a good place with good mountains and rivers. It also had delicious food. The saintess would live a happy life there. Emolyoji gulped down a mouthful of wine, pondering seriously. All of a sudden, Emolyoji's ears twitched. Swish! Wine splashed everywhere, and he lifted his head. In the sky, tens of thousands of stars began to move. Each of them seemed to want to cut through the starry sky. At this moment, the galaxy spun, surging unceasingly. Emolyoji rolled his eyes. He tore the shirt in front of his chest, using both hands to support his waist. This is worthy of being the saintess. She has started to fuse with the heavenly star catcher disc. Emolyoji clicked his tongue in surprise. Beams of light fell from the sky, sprinkling down rapidly. Emolyoji felt as if he had fallen into the Milky Way. Stars were floating in the sky. Swish! The wine in the bamboo tube was shaking rapidly. Emolyoji's eyes became blurry. His mind shivered as if he could see everything. Images flashed unceasingly in his head. The heavenly star catcher disc was the divine weapon left by the first heavenly secret saint ancestor. If he could fuse with it, he could control the heavenly star catcher disc to calculate everything. He could calculate everything, and he could even change his fate. Crack! However, the moment Emolyoji felt he was about to transcend, the images shattered. Emolyoji was soaked in cold sweat. He opened his eyes. He was so scared that he almost peed his pants. The bamboo tube on his body exploded, and his entire body was soaked in cold sweat. The true energy in his body was used up. His dantian was empty, and the mental energy in his head was almost dried up. If he had continued, he could have been sucked dry by the heavenly star catcher disc. It's so scary. Scare me to death. Emolyoji patted his chest. His heart was about to jump out of his chest. Squeak! The closed door of the room opened. Emolyoji was bewildered. He turned around to look. There, a slender and beautiful figure slowly walked out of the house. Chapter 8:12. Squeak! A soft, crisp sound arose. A voice that seemed to come from ancient times resounded and reverberated throughout the entire space. Swish! The murky yellow wine in the bamboo tube flowed out of the bamboo tube and dripped onto the ground. Emolyoji held the bamboo tube with one hand. His mouth dropped, his face dumbstruck. He was bewildered, looking at the figure walking leisurely like a banished immortal. Her white dress fluttered in the wind. Her jet-black, lush hair hung down to her waist. Following the movement of her body, her hair spread out. Specks of energy drifted in all directions. Emolyoji smacked his lips, hurriedly pouring the bamboo tube in his hand into his mouth. While pouring, he looked at the immortal-like figure. After he finished drinking, he licked his face and walked over to where the saintess was. "Your Highness, saintess, you're out of seclusion?" Emolyoji squinted, smiling, looking at the heavenly secret saintess's intimidating aura, which seemed to be able to pull the stars. Emolyoji couldn't help but shiver. This feeling, did the saintess finish fusing with the heavenly star catcher disc? Her white robe fluttered, and wisps of immortal energy seemed to move around her body. The heavenly secret saintess's eyes indifferently glanced at Emolyoji. She recognized him. He was famous in the heavenly secret Holy Land, mainly because he was unrestrained and unrestrained. However, why did he appear in front of her seclusion room? She didn't have any relationship with him, did she? Why are you here? The saintess asked indifferently. Her voice was like the chirping of an oriole in an empty valley, echoing thousands of times. Her soft voice came to Emolyoji's ears, making him shiver and grunt. Granny Emo asked me to wait for you here. As soon as you get out of seclusion, I'll take you to your heart. Oh no, to the Valley of Gluttony. Emolyoji rolled his eyes. He had almost blurted out something he shouldn't have. He hurried to slap his own mouth, changing the topic. The heavenly secret saintess was skeptical. Go to the Valley of Gluttony? Why did you want to go there? Didn't Granny Emo not let her go to the Valley of Gluttony? Why did he suddenly change his mind? Emolyoji's eyes brightened as he leaned over and asked, Pardon me for asking, Your Highness the Saintess. Have you successfully controlled the Heavenly Star Catcher Disc? No, the Heavenly Star Catcher Disc is too complicated. How could it be controlled so easily? The Heavenly Secret Saintess shook her head. Heavenly Star Catcher Disc. The Heavenly Secret Saintess gently sighed. Light flickered in her eyes, as if there were countless stars moving around. The next morning, the scorching sun climbed up into the sky and blossomed with resplendent light. Warm sunlight sprinkled down from the sky and covered the entire world. The door of the restaurant opened. Chu Changxing's handsome face emerged from behind the door. His silver hair fluttered in the wind. He shook his head, pulled a chair, and curled up in front of the door. The warm sunlight shone down and sprinkled on his body, making him feel a burst of comfort. Sometimes, Chu Changsheng felt that it wasn't bad to be a waiter like this. At least, compared to before, his mood was much better, and he wasn't as tense as before. Bufang slowly walked out of the kitchen, holding steaming hot dishes in his hands. After placing the dishes on the table, Lord Go and Yu began to gorge themselves. As for Hua, the seven-colored sky-devouring python, it could be said that she was living in the restaurant. Besides going back to accompany Xiaoye at night, she spent most of her time in the restaurant. Outside the restaurant, the flow of people increased. Shortly after, the diners entered the restaurant. Bufang also started his daily business. As a waiter, it was Chu Changxing's first time serving dishes. However, he wasn't the great elder of the Valley of Gluttony anymore. He was the waiter Chu Changsheng, so he didn't feel awkward anymore. At least, when he served the dishes, he was calm. Outside the restaurant, a shadow slowly walked in. The ancient jade saint sovereign wore a stern face. He walked to the entrance of the restaurant, looking at the inconspicuous little restaurant. He couldn't help but exhale. The little restaurant's business wasn't bad. People were coming and going. The saint sovereign clasped his hands as he walked into the restaurant. He found a seat and sat down quietly. The saint sovereign scanned the place, and his eyes shrank. This restaurant's aura was indeed different. It made his aura feel a little suppressed. The divine flame in his head was flickering. The saint sovereign's eyes moved, falling on a far distance. At this moment, the saint sovereign felt as if his pores were about to explode. It was because he saw a dog. That's right, a fat black dog. Last night, a strand of dog hair had slapped his face. That strand of dog hair had turned into a dog's paw, gently patting him. He couldn't resist at all. Until now, he could still feel the burning pain on his face. That feeling of being slapped was something he couldn't forget. What he couldn't forget was the terrifying aura of that dog's paw. And now, he saw a dog in this restaurant. It was a black dog. That dog had fur all over its body, which scared the saint's sovereign so much that his heart was pounding. Finally, he saw the owner of the dog. However, seeing it made him even more desperate. He couldn't see through a F** king dog. Excuse me, what do you want to eat? The menu is behind you, Chu Changsheng said nonchalantly as he appeared by the ancient jade saint sovereign. The saint sovereign lifted his head, looking at Chu Changsheng. With his cultivation base, he could see through Chu Changsheng at first glance. Immediately, He took in a breath of cold air. His eyes shrank. This was an existence at the peak of the divine soul realm. His divine altar had reached the level of a half-step divine soul realm expert. Such an existence was a F***king waiter in a restaurant, a waiter at the half-step divine soul realm, and a dog whose power was unknown. The ancient Jade Saint Sovereign didn't want to come to the restaurant to have a taste. He was scared out of his wits. Lord Dog, who was lying under the path understanding tree, seemed to feel the gazes that were constantly sizing him up. He opened his drowsy eyes and slowly looked in the direction of the Saint Sovereign. That lazy gaze caused the Saint Sovereign's entire body to tense up. Thud! The ancient Jade Saint Sovereign didn't say anything. He stood up from his seat, turned around, and left the restaurant. How could he eat? The black dog that could almost kill him with a single strand of fur was staring at him. He couldn't even hold his chopsticks properly. The stronger he was, the more he could feel how terrifying that black dog was. Chu Changsheng was dumbstruck, looking at the ancient Jade Saint Sovereign hurriedly leaving. After the Saint Sovereign left, an old woman walked into the restaurant, swaying. The old woman ordered a few dishes, then sat on a chair and quietly waited. There was a smile on the old man's face as he kept looking around. She saw the path understanding tree and the underworld ship beneath it. She also saw the fat black dog beside the underworld ship. The more she looked, the brighter the smile on the old woman's face became. Good. It's really good. The old woman's smile was like a blossoming flower. The dishes came, steaming hot and fragrant. They were placed in front of the old woman. Please enjoy your meal, Chu Changsheng said with a warm smile. The old woman looked at Chu Changsheng, her eyes squinting. The great elder of the Valley of Gluttony is a waiter in a restaurant. Isn't it a little overkill? Asked the old woman. The corners of Chu Changsheng's mouth curled into a smile, and the smile on his handsome face became brighter. No, being a waiter is good. Then, Chu Changsheng turned around and left. The old woman shook her head. Her trembling hands picked up the spoon, scooping a spoonful of fragrant food into her mouth. What? The old woman's nonchalant face changed instantly. She was a little surprised. She smacked the food in her mouth, unable to control herself. Unknowingly, she had scooped up all the food on the porcelain plate. Putting down the porcelain spoon, the old woman exhaled. How many years had it been since she had tasted such delicious food? It was really nostalgic. This delicious food made the old woman feel like she had returned to that year in the flower-gazing pavilion. At that time, they had tasted delicious food, discussed cultivation techniques, and shared martial techniques. That was really nostalgic. A shadow slowly walked out of the kitchen. Bufong's slender and lanky figure slowly emerged. When the old woman saw Bufong, her eyes squinted, waving at Bufong. "Young man, come here," said the old woman. "Come here." Bufong was bewildered. He turned his head, looking at the old woman suspiciously. However, he still walked over, pulling out a chair and sitting in front of the old woman. Their gazes collided. A majestic warship slowly moved forward, making heavy sounds as it moved through the air. That warship seemed to be made of precious minerals, as it emitted a cold metallic luster. The walls on both sides of the ship had incomparably mysterious formations. On the warship, a flag fluttered in the wind. Two mysterious characters were drawn on the flag. Rising Sunday, without a doubt, this warship belonged to one of the 7 great sage lands of the Hidden Dragon Royal Court, the warship of the Rising Sun Holy Land. The warship slowly moved, heading toward the horizon. It went beyond the clouds, crossing thousands of miles of mountains and rivers. There weren't many warships like this in the Holy Lands. Each Holy Land had around 4 or 5 of them because they were the necessary weapons to conquer the Hidden Dragon Heaven Pass. Once the formation on the warship was activated, the energy attack was enough to damage the great ethereal realm netherworld creatures. The warship was moving. All of a sudden, the sect master level existence guarding the warship opened his eyes. It was as if a sharp sword had shot out from his eyes, as if it wanted to tear the sky apart. In front of the warship, dark clouds rolled, covering the sky. Mwah, mwah. A cold laughter that could make people's hair stand on end arose from the dark clouds. The dark clouds were so massive, surging violently inside the warship. In front of the dark clouds, the warship was as small as an ant. As the black cloud pressed down, it seemed to have turned into a huge mouth that swallowed the warship. Boom! A terrifying aura shot out from the warship. A divine altar floated, radiating light everywhere. A blazing divine flame flickered on the divine altar, illuminating the surroundings that were shrouded in black clouds. A majestic, heroic man flashed, clasping his hands as he stood on the deck of the warship. Evil creatures from the netherworld, you dare to kill us on our way to the Heaven Pass. You don't know how to live. The heroic man shouted coldly. However, the cold laughter that made people's hair stand on end still echoed unceasingly. The warship swayed. Boom! Within the black clouds, a huge figure suddenly smashed down, smashing onto the roof of the warship, causing the entire warship to sway. The sect master level expert's eyes shrank. A figure with a pair of black wings on his back emerged, touching the head of the statue on the bow of the ship. A figure with 2 eyes on his forehead slowly floated out of the dark clouds. 3 figures surrounded the warship with evil smiles on their faces. The sect master level existence felt his entire body go cold. The Heaven Pass tribulation hasn't started yet. How could you demons cross the Heaven Pass to the hidden dragon continent? Chapter 8:13. The warship was engulfed by the dark clouds, plunging it into complete darkness. A terrifying aura lingered around. Amidst the dark clouds, a divine altar floated in the air. A divine flame bloomed, swaying resplendently. It broke the darkness and illuminated the warship. The metal warship was rumbling, and the magic formation inside spun rapidly. It wanted to break free from the shackles of the dark clouds and rush out of the darkness. A middle-aged man with a solemn face. He was the sect master of the Rising Sun Holy Land, who was in charge of this warship. His divine flame broke the darkness, giving the warship a chance to breathe. However, a huge figure over 3 meters tall landed on the roof of the warship, causing the metal warship to shake violently and rumble unceasingly. The disciples of the Rising Sun Holy Land on the warship immediately cried out in fear. The giant's body was shrouded in black energy, and his face was painted with a ferocious totem. The muscles on his body bulged, and his veins were densely covered, causing his muscles to twitch. Above the giant's head were 2 sharp horns that looked like bull horns. The horns were pierced with thick metal rings. When the metal rings collided, clanking sounds could be heard. The giant's eyes were scarlet. He opened his mouth, and pitch-black nether energy gushed out. Boom! The giant's hands slapped the metal warship, causing the metal walls of the warship to cave in. His giant palms were embedded in the walls. Evil creature, get lost! An enraged roar could be heard from the warship. Then, divine altars emerged one after another. However, none of these altars had their divine flames lit. Several figures rushed out of the warship, waving their fists and practicing martial skills. On the divine altars above their heads, a dazzling star was reflected. You're all food. The giant's scarlet eyes widened. Then, he sneered and slapped the warship with his palm. His body shot up, surrounded by nether energy, and his palms swept out. In an instant, he was engaged in a fierce battle with the Rising Sun Holy Land's almighty experts, who were displaying their fist skills. On the other side, the sect master level existence's eyes had already shrunk. His aura blossomed to the extreme, and streams of dragon-like true chi circled around his body. He stared at the figure standing on the bow of the warship, and the figure slowly walking out from the front of the warship. The Heaven Pass tribulation hasn't started yet. How can you netherworld devils appear on the continent? The sect master level existence's body turned cold as he spoke in an eerie voice. The dark clouds slowly dispersed and turned into a flight of stairs that slowly descended. The man with two vertical eyes on his forehead had a head full of pitch-black hair. He strolled leisurely along the black cloud stairs. It's just the hidden dragon continent. If it weren't for the Great Path's principle protecting you, trash like you would have long been swallowed by the ruined prison and turned into a charaba. Now that the Great Tao is declining, your doomsday has arrived. The man said faintly. His voice was very gentle. He. Calmly accept your fate as food. Fate. The man with a pair of black wings on his back laughed. His long and narrow tongue extended out of his mouth and licked around his bewitching red lips. He stared at the sect master-level existence fervently. Presumptuous. You're just an evil creature, and you dare to talk nonsense. Today, I, Mizar Yang Jingtian, will kill you all. The reason why the sect master-level existences were called that was because they had reached the peak of the hidden dragon continent. They had ignited the divine flame and reached the divine spirit realm. In the eyes of ordinary people, they were gods. Their abilities were earth-shattering. Gods had their divine altar, and the divine flame was ignited from their spirit. The divine flame was the foundation of gods. The so-called divine flame was the spirit flame of an existence at the divine spirit realm. It took a lifetime to condense a spirit flame. There were many half-step gods in the hidden dragon continent, but only a few of them had ignited the divine flame. Thus, every existence at the divine spirit realm who had ignited the divine flame could be called a sect master. His body suddenly rose from the ground. That sect master-level existence's eyes suddenly shot out thousands of beams of light. Behind him, a massive phantom emerged. The phantom turned into a fist, and each punch seemed to be able to shatter the sky. Mizar, 9 suns exploding sky. It was the battle technique of the Mizar Holy Land, the 9 suns exploding sky fist. Each punch could turn into a scorching sun. When 9 scorching suns appear at the same time, they could crush everything. An ingredient should have the consciousness of an ingredient. Stubborn, it will only make your meat harder to swallow. The man with 2 vertical eyes on his forehead said indifferently. A moment later, a sneer resounded through the air. The man with a pair of wings, standing on the bow, soared up into the sky. Black feathers fluttered. In just a blink of an eye, he dashed towards that sect master-level existence. After a long time, the dark clouds slowly dispersed. A warship riddled with holes slowly descended from the sky with a creaking sound. Smoke and dust billowed, and the formation was broken. Above the dark clouds, 3 figures stood. That existence was as big as a small mountain. His face was ferocious, and his sharp teeth were biting up and down. Every time he bit, the sound of bones breaking echoed. Emosa, are you full? If you are, we'll move on. There's something important to do. The man with 2 vertical eyes on his forehead looked at the big man, talking nonchalantly. Big brother Emoyi, half full. The big man raised his hand, rubbing his sharp horns, grinning. The man with the vertical eyes on his forehead looked a little reluctant at the big man. Then, he turned to the man with the black wings on his back. Emo-cha, the heaven past tribulation is coming. The high priest has deceived the hidden dragon continent's great path's principle of heaven to let us come here to take the heavenly secret holy land's heavenly star catcher disk. According to the connection between you and the heavenly star catcher disk, you will lead the way. The man with the black wings on his back flipped his green hair, laughing evilly. Big brother Moe, don't worry. It's just a heavenly star catcher disk. I'm sure it's easy to get it. I hope so, said the man indifferently. A moment later, the dark clouds rolled up the 3 of them, slowly moving toward the continent. Time flew fast. Several days had passed. In the past few days, Buffon could see the hunchbacked old woman every day. Every time, the old woman would come to the restaurant with a smile on her face and eat. Sometimes she would talk to Buffon. If Buffon had time, he would answer her. If he didn't, he wouldn't bother with her. During these days, he had gradually gotten used to his identity as a waiter. His movements were smooth. After the ancient jade Saint Sovereign was scared away, he didn't come to the restaurant again. It was beyond the old woman's estimation. According to the old woman's calculations, the ancient Jade Saint Sovereign would have to suffer a little before he left. However, this time, she seemed to have miscalculated. The ancient Jade Saint Sovereign had only been slapped once before he ran away. Perhaps it's because of the taboo existence. My heaven's secret art isn't that good. The old woman laughed, taking a sip of the fragrant fish head tofu soup. The old woman seemed to like the fish head tofu soup a lot. Every time she came here, she would order it. Today's business ended once again. Chu Changsheng flicked his silver hair. He pulled a chair, sat by the old woman, and chatted with her. After several days, he found that the old woman was really unfathomable. It seemed she could see through everything. Moreover, she was really knowledgeable. She could tell everything from a beginning to the end. You held a cup of sour plum soup, happily sitting on the deck of the Netherworld ship with Hua. The two of them, one big and one small, were swinging their fair legs while sipping the sour plum soup. The old woman's eyes occasionally scanned the two of them, and her eyelids twitched. Of course, the old woman knew the Netherworld woman, so she didn't pay much attention to her. However, the little doll next to the Netherworld woman scared the old woman. That little doll's aura wasn't weaker than an ordinary sect master-level existence. Moreover, that terrifying aura of a spirit beast made the old woman swallow a mouthful of fish head tofu soup to calm herself down. She was just a kid. The old woman was shocked. The people in this restaurant were all abnormal. Bufong walked out of the kitchen and used a white cloth to wipe off the water stains on his hands. Then, he walked toward the old woman. He nodded at the old woman, then pulled a chair to sit down and rest for a while. Owner Boo's dishes are really delicious. In this old woman's life, my biggest regret is that I couldn't taste Owner Boo's dishes until I was about to die. It's really regretful, the old woman said with a smile. Bufong rubbed his chin, giving the old woman a deep look. If you like it, eat more. Life is short. Enjoy it while you can. After thinking for a while, Bufong added. Hearing that, the old woman burst out laughing. Chu Changxing couldn't help but sneer. Lord Go, who was lying under the path understanding tree, snorted and tilted his head. Owner Boo, this old woman's life isn't short. It's been around 1,000 years. I've had enough fun, the old woman said with a smile. Bufong arched his brows. He didn't expect that this old woman was a 1,000-year-old granny. She was about to become a spirit. As long as you live, you can't stop enjoying yourself. Bufong said, good food is endless, and the joy it can bring you is endless. Owner Boo, you're right. I've learned a lot. Thank you, Owner Boo, for your hospitality these days. The old woman's face twitched. She grabbed her walking stick, shivering as she stood up. Bufong and Chu Changsheng looked at the old woman. I've been away from home for a long time. It's time to go back. Otherwise, my home will be gone. The old woman paid the crystals, clasping her hands behind her back, shivering as she walked toward the door. Her home would be gone? Chu Changsheng frowned. Granny, do you need any help? Chu Changsheng brushed the silver bangs on his forehead. You can't help me. My home is gone. It's fate. Anyway, this old woman wants to give Great Elder Chu a piece of advice. I'm not the Great Elder of the Valley of Gluttony anymore, Chu Changsheng said seriously. The old woman was bewildered. She smiled. No matter what, you should stay in this restaurant. This is your chance. The old woman's words made Chu Changsheng furrow his brows. The old woman turned to Bufong. Owner Boo, starting from tomorrow, I can't taste Owner Boo's dishes anymore. However, my granddaughter will come. At that time, I hope Owner Boo will treat her well. Bufong was bewildered. Okay. The old woman tapped her walking stick on the ground. She turned her head and grinned. You can't bully her. Bufong's face was emotionless. Then, the old woman laughed as she left the Tao Tai restaurant. Her shadow was pulled by the setting sun, becoming longer and longer. Owner Boo, you can't bully that granny's granddaughter, okay? Chu Changxing leaned over and said seriously. Bufong gave Chu Changxing a look. Chu Changxing laughed as he returned to his room. At the entrance of the Valley of Gluttony, two silhouettes slowly approached. One figure was wrapped in a white gauze, looking like an immortal. The other figure's chest was exposed, continuously pouring wine into his mouth. After drinking, he even smacked his lips. Valley of Gluttony. Emol Yoji, you've brought the capable saintess back. Chapter 8:14. Rising Sun Holy Land, Scorching Sun Peak Boom. After a loud explosion, the entire scorching sun peak shook. All the disciples of the Rising Sun Holy Land felt their hearts shiver. They lifted their heads to look at the peak, their faces mournful. Their hearts were filled with sorrow. The entire Holy Land was in a state of dispirited anger. A warship that the Rising Sun Holy Land had sent to the Hidden Dragon Heaven Pass was destroyed. The warship of the Wavering Light Holy Land had found the broken warship of the Rising Sun Holy Land. Immediately, they reported the news to the Rising Sun Holy Land. The entire battleship was riddled with holes and was covered in blood. The sinister claw marks had caused the entire battleship to be torn apart. All the disciples and the sect master level existences on the warship were gone. Some people saw many broken corpses, which were torn into pieces. Flesh and blood filled the sky. That sect master level existence, Yang Jingtian, was left with only a head with his eyes wide open. His eyes were filled with unwillingness and rage. His corpse was nowhere to be found. Even his divine soul had been destroyed. Everyone felt a chill in their hearts, but they also felt anger. That was because from the traces left on the scene, the person who had capsized the warship had used the means of the netherworld creatures. The dense nether energy that remained on the scene caused everyone's body to tremble in anger. When the news was sent to the Rising Sun Holy Land, the entire Holy Land was shrouded in sorrow. It was true that they had died before they could achieve anything. Before the warship could reach the Heaven Pass, it was destroyed by the netherworld creatures. The most important thing was that they didn't even know how they were destroyed. It was a humiliation, an unbearable humiliation. The holy saint of the Rising Sun Holy Land was so sad that he couldn't control himself. He cried every night. Yang Jingtian was the holy saint's brother. Now that his brother had died, how could he not be sad? This news not only made the Rising Sun Holy Land sorrowful, but also shook the entire Hidden Dragon Royal Court. Everybody felt a sense of urgency. The Heaven Pass tribulation hadn't arrived yet, but the experts of the Netherworld had already entered the continent and started a massacre. Those Netherworld creatures saw the people of the continent as their food. One could imagine the fate of those experts who had died. The entire royal court was tense. Kill! An angry roar came from the Rising Sun Holy Land. His murderous aura shot up to the sky. Heavenly Secret Holy Land. Shrouded in thick clouds, this was caused by the environment of the Heavenly Secret Holy Land. It was surrounded by continuous mountain ranges, and on the mountain ranges, there were a few houses that were not very luxurious. With a creaking sound, the door of the house opened, and the disciples of the Heavenly Secret Holy Land walked out. These disciples were all wearing white robes. They were experts in divination and had learned the art of divination. The Heavenly Secret Holy Land's status in the entire royal court's holy lands was transcendent because of its mysteriousness and because the Heavenly Secret Holy Lord was the strongest existence among all the holy lords. No one dared to provoke the Heavenly Secret Holy Land. A peaceful atmosphere enveloped the entire Heavenly Secret Holy Land. In the misty rain, an old woman tore through space and came out. Her walking stick tapped on the bluestone floor as she walked slowly. The clattering sound lingered in the surroundings. The bluestone path was winding and quiet, and everything seemed so quiet. A gentle breeze blew by, causing the old woman's hair to flutter. The old woman's face became much older. She took a few steps and stood in place. He raised his head and looked at the hazy, misty rain. In the misty rain, a black cloud slowly approached, enveloping everything. That dark cloud carried the terrifying nether energy, which looked like a demon that wanted to swallow people. The misty clouds were swallowed by that dark cloud, which brutally tore them apart. The old woman's face darkened. Both of her hands held the walking stick as she faced the dark cloud. Her gaze seemed to be able to see through everything. At the same time, many disciples of the heavenly secret Holy Land didn't notice the dark cloud pressing down on the city. They were slowly practicing their heavenly secret technique. What should come will come. The heavenly secret Holy Land has to face this calamity. Granny Mo's face was cold. In the royal court, everybody knew that the heavenly secret Holy Land was the most mysterious and the strongest. However, that was when the heavenly secret Saint Sovereign was still around. Today, the heavenly secret Holy Land was the weakest among all the Holy Lands without the Saint Sovereign and the Saint Sovereign. The heavenly secret Saint Sovereign wanted to let nature take its course. The Saint Sovereign needed to comprehend the great path, so he didn't stay in the Holy Land to cultivate in seclusion. Instead, he traveled the world and entered the endless sea to find a chance to break through. The heavenly secret Saint Sovereign had always stayed in the hidden Dragon Heaven Pass to resist the invasion of the netherworld creatures. It's okay. Her Highness the Saintess has gone to the Valley of Gluttony. It's safe there. The old woman's face shivered. A moment later, she smiled. Her Highness the Saintess had brought the heavenly star catcher disc to the Valley of Gluttony. As long as the heavenly star catcher disc was there, the heavenly secret inheritance would be there. Those netherworld demons couldn't destroy the heavenly secret Holy Land. Boom! Boom! There was a loud sound like a clap of thunder. All the disciples of the heavenly secret Holy Land were shocked as they looked in the direction of the billowing smoke. Over there, all the disciples' pupils constricted, because they saw something that made their hair stand on end. Mwah! Mwah! Laughter that made one's body stiffen rang out. A moment later, the dark cloud tore the smoke, rolling and rolling. 3 figures with nether energy hovered in front of the dark cloud. One was as big as a giant demon. One had a pair of wings, and the last had 2 vertical eyes on his forehead. The 3 of them stood on the dark cloud like a magnificent army with thousands of horses and horses. They made people feel terrified. The man with vertical eyes was indifferent. He cocked his head, indifferently looking at the heavenly secret Holy Land shrouded in smoke. Emocha, is this the heavenly secret Holy Land? Are you sure the heavenly star catcher disc is here? The man with a pair of black wings grinned. He stuffed a piece of charred meat into his mouth. Big brother Moyi, you have to trust me. Trust my 6th sense. I also want to trust your 6th sense, but we're facing the great sage's territory. If we make a mistake, you and Emosa will die here. What about you, big brother? Asked the big man skeptically. The man with vertical eyes glanced at him. I'm immortal. No one can kill me. Not even the saint's sovereign level existences. Big brother is the best. Emosa grinned and punched himself in the chest. All right, since we're sure it's here, let's do it. Finish it fast. Don't attract the 7 great sages' attack. Otherwise, you two won't be able to run away, said Emoyi casually. Okay, big brother, just wait. This heavenly secret Holy Land doesn't have a saint's sovereign level existence. We don't need to be afraid. This time, we can have a good meal. Emocha's wings flapped. A moment later, his black feathers rolled up. His body turned into a black line, dashing down from the dark cloud. As he galloped, his figure underwent a huge change. Emocha's face gradually turned ferocious. His skin turned scarlet, and his chin seemed to turn into a sharp knife. Long horns appeared on his forehead. There was a tearing sound. The air was torn and exploded. Maha! Food! Your Uncle Emocha is here. A black trident emerged in Emocha's hand. He swung the trident, and a terrifying energy grumblingly pounded. A house in the heavenly secret Holy Land was instantly turned into a pile of rubble by this energy. Screeching reverberated through the 9 heavens. Emocha's face lit up with excitement when he heard the screams. The wings on his back flapped harder. Granny Mo's indifferent eyes looked at Mo Cha with nether energy everywhere. No doubt, he was a heavenly ethereal realm netherworld creature. The heaven past tribulation was coming. Finally, a heavenly ethereal realm netherworld creature appeared. The heavenly secret Holy Land's great calamity had finally come. It's been several hundred years. It's time for this broken body to shine. Granny Mo's cane pounded on the ground. A moment later, her aura rocketed. Her terrifying aura swept the entire place. A majestic divine altar floated above the heavenly secret Holy Land. On the divine altar, two divine flames slowly flickered, shining through the darkness. Valley of Gluttony Yogi and the heavenly secret Saintess were strolling. At night, the Valley of Gluttony was bustling and lively as usual. The two of them walked on the long street of the Gluttony God City. Yogi looked nostalgic. Your Highness Saintess, aren't you surprised? The Valley of Gluttony is still so prosperous. Yogi took the bamboo flask and poured some wine into his mouth. However, he couldn't get a single drop. His face turned bitter. He had finished the bamboo flask he got from Wunren Shang. It seemed like he had to get more. Your Highness Saintess, the Taodai restaurant that Granny Mo mentioned isn't far from here. You should continue walking. I have something to do. After I'm done, I'll find you, said Yogi. The heavenly secret Saintess indifferently glanced at Yogi. She seemed to see through his thoughts. You can drink this broken wine to your heart's content. Seems like you don't know anything about wine. Yogi was bewildered. He wasn't happy. What do you mean by lousy wine? This wine is made by Wunren Shang, the head chef of the Valley of Gluttony. If we weren't brothers, that miser wouldn't even give me a drop, said Yogi. Although Wunren Shang was a little stingy, the wine he made was really delicious. The heavenly secret Saintess's eyes had a gleam of disdain. You know the Taodai restaurant, but you don't know that the wine made by Owner Boo is the real wine. That year, when he opened the bottle of wine, the entire city was filled with its fragrance. That was a spectacular scene worthy of being called the real wine. It's been so long. The wine made by Owner Boo has become even more delicious. Yogi was bewildered as he listened to the Saintess. Is it really that magical? I only know that Owner Boo's dishes are really good, but I didn't know that Owner Boo's wine is also that awesome. When Yogi left the Valley of Gluttony, the Taodai restaurant hadn't opened yet. Thus, he didn't have a chance to drink Bu Fong's wine. Hearing the Saintess say that, his heart felt a little itchy. It was the wine-worm's itch. It's up to you whether you believe it or not, said the Saintess casually. She clasped her hands, gliding forward like a fairy. Ha! Your Highness Saintess, how about we have a little bet? If Owner Boo's wine isn't as good as you say, will you lift your veil and let's have a look? Yogi rolled his eyes, asking curiously. The heavenly secret Saintess halted her steps. Her eyes became sharp in an instant. She slowly turned her head, her line of sight falling on Yogi. It was as if the galaxy was spinning. Then you will never have a chance to make me lift my veil. Yogi was bewildered. Holy *T. She's worthy of being a capable Saintess. She's that confident in Owner Boo. No wonder Owner Boo would become the Saintess's inner demon. Could it be that the two of them had some unspeakable story? Yogi became more curious. He rubbed his chin, his eyes bright. Shortly, the two of them arrived in front of the Taodai restaurant. Bu Fong slowly walked to the door. With a squeak, he was about to close the door. Suddenly, he saw Yogi and the heavenly secret Saintess standing in front of the door. Chapter 8:15. Two crescent moons hung in the sky, emitting a cold radiance. The radiance was like a thin veil that sprinkled down, as if the entire earth was covered in a silver cloak. Bu Fong stood in front of the restaurant. As he was about to close the door, he saw Yogi and the woman wearing a white veil not far from the door. That woman was wearing a veil, but Bu Fong felt a sense of familiarity, as though he had seen her somewhere before. This sense of familiarity caused Bufang to slightly widen his eyes, as though he wanted to take a closer look at that woman. Mo Yoji grinned, walking toward the restaurant. What the heavenly secret saintess had said made Mo Yoji's heart itch. Onarbu's restaurant had better wine than the bamboo wine. To a wine lover, it was the biggest temptation. He couldn't resist the temptation. Onarbu, long time no see. I'm back. Mo Yoji grinned, greeting Bufang as if they were old friends. Bufang leaned against the door, throwing Mo Yoji a sidelong glance. He said indifferently, "Why did you come back? I won't go with you to the heavenly secret holy land. I won't go with you to see that Granny Mo. Standing behind Mo Yoji, the heavenly secret saintess was bewildered. She looked at Mo Yoji skeptically. Why does Granny Mo want to see Onarbu? Mo Yoji's body stiffened. He turned to look at the heavenly secret saintess and said, My dear saintess, Granny Mo cares about you. You're the treasure of our heavenly secret holy land. Controlling the heavenly starcatcher disc depends on you. Of course, we can't let anything happen to you. Onarbu, as your heart, yeah, you know. Mo Yoji's brows twitched as he smiled playfully. The heavenly secret saintess was speechless. What did she know? Shaking her head, the heavenly secret saintess lifted her head, looking at Bufang. Her eyes made Bufang feel more familiar. The heavenly secret saintess' eyes met with Bufang's for a while. Both of them were calm. The next moment, the celestial saintess nodded, then turned around and left. Mo Yoji was dumbstruck. Where was the good wine? The saintess or the fine wine? Which was more important? Mo Yoji calculated with his fingers. Good wine was more important. Thus, Mo Yoji turned around and smiled at Bufang. Onarbu bang! With a loud bang, Mo Yoji let out a miserable howl. He took a few steps back, covered his nose, and squatted on the ground sadly. The door and his nose collided, and Mo Yoji seemed to hear a crisp sound. The sour feeling in his nose made Mo Yoji tear up. He just wanted a drink, that was all. The restaurant is closed for today. If you want to eat, come earlier tomorrow and line up. While Mo Yoji was rubbing his nose, Bufang's faint voice came from the restaurant. Hearing this, Mo Yoji was dumbstruck. With our friendship, do we need to come tomorrow to line up? Onarbu, you are such a torturous little devil. Mo Yoji stood up, his nose swollen. Tears lingered in the corners of his eyes as he left the Taotai restaurant, looking back several times. He thought for a while, then jogged to Wunren Shang's restaurant. Without Onarbu's wine, he would drink Wunren Shang's bamboo tube wine. Now, he understood why the celestial saintess left first. She didn't even ask if he could get in. Her Highness seemed to know that Onarbu would drive him away. The celestial saintess found an inn. In the Gluttony God City, there were many restaurants and inns. Of course, inns also had a restaurant business. The chefs in the inns were good at cooking. Perhaps they weren't as good as the chefs in the restaurants in the Gluttony God City, but they were much better than the chefs in the villages outside the city. Even the weakest chefs were second-grade chefs. The inn the celestial saintess found wasn't far from Onarbu's restaurant. When she opened the window, she could see the lights in Onarbu's restaurant. The celestial saintess' eyes focused. She leaned against the window, looking at the Taotai restaurant in a daze. Inside the Taotai restaurant, the restaurant was brightly lit. Chu Changsheng had returned to his room and was snoring loudly. Since he had become a waiter, his favorite things were to eat and sleep. This kind of regular work and rest made Chu Changsheng's aura more steady, and his skin seemed to radiate a radiant light. Chu Changsheng was at the peak of Almighty Realm, the half-step divine spirit realm. He had condensed the divine altar, and he was waiting to ignite the divine flame. However, to ignite the divine flame, he needed to accumulate energy. It wasn't something that could be achieved by cultivating diligently. Thus, he couldn't rush it. Every day, he would rest and accumulate energy, waiting for the moment to ignite the divine flame. At the same time, Bufang stayed in the kitchen, practicing his cooking skills. With the improvement of his cooking skills, Bufang felt that the path to the god of cooking was more difficult. It was because the difficulty of each dish was much higher than before. All kinds of cooking methods made Bufang's spirit rise. He practiced his knife skills, the four symbols fire control technique, and his mental energy cooking. Nowadays, besides doing business, Bufang spent most of his time practicing these skills. Although he had the system, Bufang understood that if he didn't work hard, the system couldn't help him. Only by working hard could he grow, seize opportunities, and advance. There was no free lunch in this world. If he wanted to have profound cooking skills, he needed to practice. Boom! Rumble! A dark gold flame was twirling on Bufang's palm. It was the heaven and earth obsidian flame after it had fused completely. Its temperature was high, and it was full of spirituality. It shuttled back and forth in Bufang's palm. From time to time, it would follow Bufang's will and turn into a roaring fire dragon, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. After practicing the four symbols fire control technique for a while, Bufang stopped today's practice. He gently exhaled. He took out the ice-hard jade urn wine from the fridge and poured himself a cup. Leaning against the stove, Bufang gulped down a mouthful of the ice-cold, ice-hard jade urn wine. The wine flowed down his throat and into his stomach. That instantaneous burst of coolness made him involuntarily let out a satisfied yawn. His body's exhaustion seemed to have been swept away at this moment. Fiddling with the wine cup, Bufang couldn't help but start to ponder. The ice-hard jade urn wine was one of the first wines that Bufang brewed, using the 9 brewing method. As his strength increased, the ingredients that Bufang used to brew the ice-hard jade urn wine also became more and more valuable. The taste of the ice-hard jade urn wine also became better. However, Bufang no longer had that breathtaking feeling when he first drank the ice-hard jade urn wine. With a thought, Bufang thought of the reward that he recently received, which was the Acheron wine of helplessness. This wine was described by the system to be very awesome. It was much better than the ice-hard jade urn wine, and even the frost blaze path understanding brew. This made Bufang's heart a little moved. Bufang was also a wine lover. As a wine lover, his heart was naturally itching to try new wines. Putting down the wine cup, Bufang couldn't help but ponder. Looks like it's time to find an opportunity to brew the Acheron wine of helplessness, Bufang rubbed his chin and said. However, the ingredients to brew the Acheron helplessness seemed to be in the netherworld. Go to the netherworld. Bufang narrowed his eyes, his heart hesitating. Heavenly secret holy land thick black clouds rolled, shrouding the entire area. Darkness descended, making people's hearts tighten. However, a divine altar emerged in the sky. On the altar, 2 divine flames were swaying, blooming with the ultimate radiance, breaking the darkness. In the void, Cha's skin had turned scarlet. The black wings on his back were flapping. He held a trident in his hand, his aura soaring. A divine spirit realm granny. Too bad she's too old. Not delicious. Cha grinned. His scarlet eyes had a gleam of regret. However, after feeling regretful, his eyes turned to the heavenly secret holy land's disciples below. He grinned. Anyway, with so many tender little fellows, I can have a good meal. Filthy animal, you dare to come to the heavenly secret holy land? I will make sure you won't be able to return. Granny Mo leaned on her walking stick, standing proudly in the sky. Although her body was old, she was full of energy. The divine altar above her head swayed with the divine flame, her aura soaring. The entire space was filled with her aura. Stinky Granny. You're about to die, and you're still pretending, Cha said coldly. A moment later, the wings on his back flapped. His body turned into a jet of black light, zooming away. The trident fiercely thrust out, and the void seemed to be shattered by the thrust. Maha! The space in this world is too fragile. Granny, die. Cha laughed, his scarlet eyes brightening. Boom! Granny Mo stood proudly at her spot. The trident came, but it stopped several inches in front of her. She couldn't move forward or retreat. The sharpness of the chi continued to surge out. Granny Mo's hands were pinching an orchid. Her eyes were deep, stars scattered around her, radiance surging. Suddenly, she moved forward a little. Imo-cha's body was blasted backward. However, Imo-cha, who was flying backward, still gave a cold smile that made people's hair stand on end. A moment later, Imo-cha's figure turned into many clones in the void. Each clone spoke at the same time, their voices echoing through the entire world. Kill! Imo-cha's clones moved, dashing toward Granny Mo like a dense swarm. Imo-sa, you go too. Finish this quickly. Mo-yi, who had two vertical eyes on his forehead, said indifferently. As his voice faded, Imo-sa, who was behind him, roared and charged out. His huge figure was like a small mountain as he pressed forward. The metal rings on the horns collided with each other, producing clanking sounds. He had the power to pick up a mountain, and his aura was matchless. He punched. The muscles on his arms bulged, and his veins bulged. He pounded on Granny Mo's star barrier. Buzzing sounds echoed. Countless beams of starlight bloomed. Imo-cha's clone held the trident and attacked. Imo-sa punched like a savage beast. The star barrier seemed to be unable to endure it. Granny Mo's eyes were indifferent. The divine flame on the altar above her head flickered. Two evil beasts. You dare to attack my heavenly secret holy land. Stay here. Granny Mo spoke in a mysterious voice. Her body bloomed with light. The light shot up into the sky, breaking the darkness, resonating with the stars in the night sky. Dots of starlight fell, twirling around Granny Mo's body. Heavenly secret, demon subduing. Buzz. Granny Mo's walking stick changed, turning into a long mace. Her wrinkled skin slowly became firm and tender. Her figure was tall and straight, and she looked charming and beautiful. Her pitch-black hair fluttered, making her look young and beautiful. Thick vitality filled Granny Mo's body. You're younger. You're tasty. Imo-sa rolled his eyes, grinning. Imo-cha was also drooling. Starlight twinkled. Her hair fluttered, and her skin glowed under the starlight. Granny Mo's eyes were cold and indifferent. Her elegant hand rose, and the long mace struck at the two demons. Chapter 816. Tens of thousands of stars shone down from the sky, illuminating Granny Mo's body, which had become younger. Light twirled and twirled. Dots of starlight twirled like fairies, dancing and weaving through Granny Mo's fluttering black hair, making her look like a peerless immortal. Shio held a long mace in her hand, which was the original crutch in her hand. The pitch-black crutch transformed, and the sawdust fell off, turning into a long golden mace. The long mace had mysterious patterns on it. It was the heavenly secret Holy Land's god-slaying weapon, the god-slaying mace. Imo-cha's dozen doppelgangers each held a trident, emitting a terrifying aura. Every time they swung their tridents, pitch-black nether chi would be released, causing the air to buzz. However, facing Granny Mo's god-slaying mace, Imo-cha's pores bulged. His black eyes widened. After a loud explosion, one of Imo-cha's clones was smashed into pieces by Granny Mo without any resistance. His clones turned into dust, scattering everywhere. Boom! Boom! Mysterious patterns coiled around the god-slaying truncheon. Every time it attacked, it would shatter one of Imo-cha's doppelgangers. Imo-cha was enraged. Imo-sa was so overbearing. The metal rings on his head jingled. With a roar, he threw a punch out. The oppressive air rumbled, and the space caved in from the punch, as if it had turned into a vacuum. The astral shield descended and blocked the punch. Ripples flowed on the surface of the shield. Imo-sa's entire body lay on the starlight barrier. He swung his fist and smashed it down, causing the starlight barrier to tremble violently. It was as though it was about to shatter. Evil creature! A voice like a bird's chirping echoed. A moment later, the god-slaying mace struck. The air was torn apart. Boom! Imo-sa's punch collided with the god-slaying mace. Imo-sa's body was struck by lightning, falling from the sky. He landed on the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. The heavenly secret holy land disciples on the ground hurriedly moved away. Of course, the half-step deities from the heavenly secret holy land, as well as some sect masters who had ignited one divine flame, also cheered. Sa crawled up from the ground. There was a wound on his body, and there was a sizzling sound coming from the wound. Sa was furious. He fiercely punched the ground with his fists. His body suddenly grew taller, and his muscles tore open. His originally 3-meter-tall body suddenly grew taller, and he became a 4-meter-tall giant. The giant's body was navy blue, and his eyes were scarlet red. Pieces of broken stone armor were scattered all over his body. Tear everything apart. Sa roared angrily, his eyes fixed on the disciples of the heavenly secret holy land. Boom! The giant moved horizontally and opened its mouth wide, revealing its ferocious fangs as it pounced towards the disciples. Saliva dripped from his mouth, and a crazed expression appeared on his face. He wanted to devour all the disciples of the Holy Land. Granny Mo floated in the void like a banished immortal. Her eyes moved, and her brows furrowed. She exhaled softly. "Everybody back off. Back to the heavenly secret main hall," Granny Mo said calmly. All the disciples were frightened. Then, they retreated according to Granny Mo's order. They retreated to a low building in the middle of the Holy Land. Granny Mo raised one of her hands, and a star array formation started to revolve in her palm. She waved her hand, and the star compass descended. Buzzing sounds arose. Suddenly, it covered the heavenly secret Holy Land's disciples, including the half-step divine spirit realm and the sect master level existences. "Damn it! My food!" Sa was enraged. He dashed forward, crushing the air. He punched the star compass barrier. However, he was unable to shake the formation in the slightest. In fact, he was even forced to take a few steps back by the formation's counterforce and fell to the ground on his butt. Swish! Sonic booms echoed. Cha's flying speed was really fast. In just a blink of an eye, his remaining clones shuttled through the air. Thousands of strands of nether energy diffused. They turned into a giant demon head, which looked ferocious and terrifying. It raised its hand and patted Granny Mo. Granny Mo watched indifferently. The god-slaying mace shot out. Gold light shot everywhere. It pierced through the demon's palm, leaving a big hole. Buzz! 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 Cha's clones flew out, crouching on the star compass barrier. His trident pounded. Sizzle! Sizzle! Starlight scattered. The star compass barrier was about to shatter. Crack! 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 The heavenly secret Holy Land's disciples took in a breath of cold air. How could that demon be so terrifying? Even Granny Mo's star compass barrier was about to explode. Sa, who was on the ground, was enraged. He punched the ground, using the rebound force to soar up into the sky, crouching hard on the barrier. He raised his head and pounded. His mouth opened, biting hard. The astral shield flickered, energy dissipated and gradually dimmed. Granny Mo's eyes gazed at the two demons, exhaling softly. Boom! Finally, the star compass barrier exploded. Sa's face beamed a crazy smile. Food! Food! Hee. His big hand rose, aiming at Granny Mo. Everybody's hearts tightened, looking at Granny Mo worriedly. Granny Mo was still calm. The divine altar above her head sparkled, and the divine flame bloomed. I am Yuli. Even if I have to die today, I will bury you with me. The star compass barrier shattered. Granny Mo knew that she couldn't escape her fate. Since that was the case, she would kill. Buzz, Granny Mo held the god-slaying mace, dashing toward Sa and Cha. System, if I want to find the Acheron grass and the flower of helplessness, do I have to go to the netherworld? Do you have a way to take me there? Buffon leaned on the stove, asking the system. Shortly after, the system's serious voice arose. System's transportation array. You can go to the ends of the earth. Buffon knew about the system's transportation array. No matter what, he had to rely on that transportation array every time he went out. It wasn't bad. I can go to the netherworld. Buffon was curious. The system didn't answer Bufang. It seemed it didn't think it was necessary to answer his question. Bufang was sure, but he was a little moved. If he could find the Acheron grass and the flower of helplessness, he could start to brew the Acheron helplessness wine. According to the system's evaluation, the Acheron helplessness wine was much better than the Ice Heart Jade Urn wine and the Frost Blaze Path Understanding brew. Thus, Bufang's heart was moved. Since he was moved, Bufang made up his mind to go to the netherworld. Bufang rubbed his chin and placed the porcelain cup back on the table. Then, he strode out of the kitchen. He went to the restaurant. The Lord Go was sleeping under the Path Understanding tree. Of course, Bufang couldn't go to the netherworld alone. Anyway, the Lord Go and the netherworld woman were familiar with the netherworld. If Bufang brought them along, it would be easier. Moreover, Bufang knew that the netherworld was much more dangerous than the hidden dragon continent. Host, please note that with your current cultivation level, you only have 3 days to go to the netherworld. After 3 days, the system will force you to return. The system solemnly said to Bufang. Bufang's cultivation level was only at the Divine Soul realm with a 1-step soul ladder. This level of strength was nothing in the hidden dragon continent, let alone in the netherworld. The netherworld was much more dangerous than the hidden dragon continent. Bufang patted the Lord Go's head, then knocked on the netherworld ship. Lord Dog, who was sleeping soundly, suddenly opened his drowsy eyes and looked at Bufang with a puzzled expression. Why did Bufang young man wake up the Lord Go in the middle of the night? Did he want to cook sweet and sour ribs for the Lord Go? You slowly got out of the netherworld ship, looking at Bufang with a puzzled face. Facing this man and dog, Bufang was a little embarrassed. However, after thinking about it, for the sake of the Acheron wine of helplessness, Bufang decided to ask. I want to go to the netherworld. Bufang said. What? The Lord Go and you were bewildered. To be more precise, I want to go to the hell of the netherworld. I want to pick the Acheron grass and the flower of helplessness, added Bufang. The Lord Go squinted at Bufang. The Acheron grass? The flower of helplessness? With your weak chicken cultivation base? The Lord Go snorted. You also nodded in agreement. The hell of a netherworld is much more terrifying than the ruined prison. The level of the realm is higher. With your cultivation base, the spirit beast guarding the Acheron grass can blow you to death with just one breath. How will I know if I don't try? Bufang said seriously. He had made up his mind. The Lord Go won't go with you. Stealing the Acheron grass is not something the Lord Go can do. Blackie yawned, its gentle and magnetic voice echoing. You should ask the clown Hades to do this. He's more experienced. Nethery, who was standing to the side, nodded in agreement. Bufang blinked his eyes. Right, there's still Hades era. The corners of Bufang's mouth rose. Then, he walked to the restaurant's entrance. Opening the door, a handful of spicy strips appeared in his hand. Thick, oily juice rolled down from the spicy strips, dripping on the ground. The aroma of the spicy strips wafted out, slowly filling the air. Buzz, in the dark night, a beam of light appeared at the speed of light. In just a blink of an eye, it appeared in front of the restaurant. Its eyes brightened as it gazed at the handful of spicy strips in Bufang's hand. Bufang young man, you're worthy of being the young man I values. Are these spicy strips for I? Hades era grinned, looking excitedly at the handful of spicy strips in Bufang's hand. Indeed, as soon as the spicy strips appeared, Hades appeared. Come in and talk, Bufang said. Then, he pulled Hades era into the restaurant. 10 spicy strips to accompany me to the netherworld's hell. Bufang looked at Hades era seriously. Hades was bewildered. Go to the netherworld's hell? Then, he looked at Bufang with an odd expression. Bufang young man, what are you going to do in the netherworld? Take a walk? The netherworld's not interesting at all. If you have a time, why don't you make more spicy strips? 9. Bufang said, his face emotionless. TSK. Going back to the netherworld's hell is not interesting. Hades was conflicted. 8. Bufang's eyes widened. Hades' face was filled with pain. He clutched his heart, gasping for breath. Don't reduce anymore. 8. It is. I will accompany you. Facing the spicy strips, Hades chose to compromise. The corners of Bu Fong's mouth rose, handing the spicy strips to Hades' era. Then, he looked at Lord Go and Yu, who were lying by the path understanding tree. Let's go now. 2 people and a dog were bewildered. Leave now. Dots of white light emerged, congregating in the void. Then, they began to draw an array. The specks of light gathered very quickly, and in a short while, a magic array emerged. This array was much more profound than the previous one, and its fluctuations were more terrifying and fierce. Hades and the others were a little surprised. They were curious about where those light dots came from. However, although they were curious, they didn't ask. They just looked at Bu Fong, then followed Bu Fong into the array. We have a deal. Lord Go will only accompany you to the netherworld. I won't go with you to pick acheron grass. Lord Dog, whose body was covered in fat, confirmed this sentence when the array began to revolve. A moment later, a gust of wind howled in the restaurant, and the light shone brightly. With a whistling sound, it disappeared. Chapter 817. The 10-mile street was very lively. Granny Mo held the god-slaying mace, thundering. Moi furrowed his brows. The heavenly star catcher disc wasn't here. His hand squeezed, and the compass was crushed. For example, he could go to the restaurants to taste the kids' dishes to see if they had improved. Following you, the 2 of them walked dozens of miles. A jet of black light shot out from the vertical eye. A moment later, it hit Granny Mo. The heavenly secret saintess also wore a white silk dress. She walked out of the inn, gliding as if she was a fairy. Mo Cha's long tongue licked the cold blade of the trident. Don't you want to find the acheron grass? What level do you want? Asked Lord Go. Let's see how long you can endure. Shortly after, a formation made of white light dots emerged in the sky. Lord Go rolled his eyes. Hades' era couldn't help but look at it. Compared to the hidden dragon continent, the netherworld seemed a little barren. The light faded away. The sky had just brightened. It's good that you're used to it. The spirit energy in the earth prison of the netherworld is much thicker than in the hidden dragon continent. No matter what, the hidden dragon continent's level is too low. If it weren't for its strategic location, the netherworld's experts wouldn't have paid attention to it, you said, looking at Bu Fong. One of the 2 vertical eyes on his forehead opened. Several figures roared and stormed over. Their voices thundered and thundered. Bu Fong, kid, you're not polite at all. The acheron grass in the fountainhead is the most precious acheron grass. It's lucky that you want a 1-leaf acheron grass. If you want a 9-leaf acheron grass, that old fool acheron will risk his life to kill you. His brows slightly arched. There was a closed business sign hanging above it. Using a spicy strip to call for help? Hades' era pulled out a chili strip and sat on the ground. He started eating the chili strip. Granny Mo's body was in a sorry state. Her hair was disheveled as she fell to the ground, gasping for air. The corners of Chu Chongqing's mouth convulsed. He walked to the door and opened it. Bang! Wood collided. Godly medicine. Bu Fong nodded his head. That broken Taoyia's heart was still slightly inferior to the godly medicine. If he had not been lucky, he would not have been able to cook it. Although it was only early in the morning, the restaurants on both sides of the street were already in full swing, and all kinds of hawking sounds could be heard. She raised her hand, and a wisp of pitch-black nether energy wrapped around her arm. 100 miles ahead is the Acheron River. You should go with that boy Bu Fong. Hades, wait here. I'm going to find the great sage of the Acheron River. Lord Go said lazily. Hades' era sniffed the familiar aura, gently exhaling. He had never thought that he would be able to return to the netherworld so easily. Every step he took required a great deal of strength. If it weren't for the suppression of the Great Path's principle, I would have torn you into pieces. The pressure on his body, which felt like a giant rock, disappeared. Closed business? A terrifying aura spread rapidly. It was as if a scorching sun was moving, and the array was soaring. Follow me. Earth Prison isn't like the hidden dragon continent. It's very dangerous, you said. The velvet rope that was used to tie Bu Fong's hair was blown off by the wind, and his black hair fluttered. Yu's face was emotionless. The corners of her mouth twitched. Her elegant hands rose to cover her face. Smiling, the heavenly secret saintess didn't mind. She clasped her hands and turned around, heading back to the inn. Bufang nodded. He had been longing for Owner Bu's wine, so naturally, he couldn't wait to taste it. You heavenly ethereal realm demons won the heavenly star catcher disc, right? In your dreams. You'll never get it. These two, something fishy was going on. Where are they? Why aren't they here? Chu Changsheng was bewildered. However, after staying here for so many days, he had gotten used to the facilities here. He had to admit that it was really convenient. Rumble. In the sky, holes appeared on Mo Sa's huge body. Pitch-black blood flowed out of the holes. Early next morning, Mo Cha roared. The wings on his back flapped, and he was about to run away. What did you say? You want to fight? Lord Go's dog ears twitched. He turned his head, squinting at Hades. Earth Prison was immensely vast, and it was made of green stone mountains. Plants were sparse, but the thick spirit energy in the air was really amazing. Then why don't you go and chat? Lord Go, I'll wait here. Lord Go squinted at Hades. Then, he would start with Mu Cheng's restaurant. The bleak wind blew, and the heavenly secret Holy Land's disciples, who were shrouded in the formation, felt their hearts sink. Granny Mo's aura began to climb, reaching a terrifying level. Her body became dazzling, pushing the darkness away. After Xiao Bai had swallowed Yin Cheng's god-slaying bow, he had fallen into a state of evolution. He was still evolving, and no one knew when he would finish. Without the suppression of the Great Path's principle, he felt relaxed. The god-slaying truncheon swept across the void, completely shattering it. Its vertical eye was pitch black, with white halos twirling around it. That gust of wind turned into a tornado, rolling up the dust on the ground like a roaring dragon. Her hand, which was holding the god-slaying mace, was shaking slightly. Chu Changsheng was bewildered. Did that mean he had nothing to do today? Lord Go said. Then he twisted his chubby butt and disappeared. Anyway, Bufang was interested in the divine herb. Shortly, they arrived in front of the Taodai restaurant. Nethery rolled her eyes, then pulled Lu Cheng's hand and walked forward. Heavenly secret Holy Land, the ground beneath Bufang's feet shattered, and a bestial roar resounded. The ground suddenly split apart, and a huge mouth lunged toward Bufang. Something's wrong. The heavenly star catcher disc isn't here. Mo Cha squinted. Suddenly, his eyes widened as he screamed in rage. The earth prison of the netherworld is vast. The real divine herbs exist there. You will know later. With your current power, even if we give you a divine herb, you won't be able to cook it. Bufang's breathing became heavy. The pressure of this land was much greater than the hidden dragon continent. He felt his body getting heavier. However, what made him speechless was that the Taodai restaurant's door was closed. Not here? Then why are you still talking to this old hag? The experts from the other holy lands are about to come. Kill this old hag, and we'll leave. Bufang's eyes brightened. He could feel that as Yu's hand patted him, his body became much more relaxed. A moment later, she strode her enchanting cat-like steps, soaring into the sky. Going downstairs, he was a little bewildered as he found that the kitchen was very quiet today. The restaurant didn't have any noise, which made him feel a little strange. He strode with his enchanting cat-like steps, his fat dog but swaying from side to side. Thinking of that, Chu Changsheng's eyes narrowed. He swung his silver hair, then walked out of the restaurant, heading to the main street of the Gluttony God City. Boom! In the next moment, several figures walked out from the formation. The sky was gray, and dark clouds slowly floated, giving people an oppressive feeling. But the restaurant was closed today. Did she want to stop him from drinking the wine? After Granny Mo had ignited the divine flame, her power had reached a terrifying level. Mo Yoji's swollen nose widened. Was this Owner Bu's style? Hades Era arched his brows. He pulled his sleeves, snorting. Come here. I'm not afraid of a mangy dog like you. They continued to move forward. It was indeed closed. Where did Bufang take Lord Go and you two? Emosa screamed. Both of his hands were broken by the god-slaying mace. A moment later, his figure streaked across the sky, tearing the void and dashing forward. The Acheron grass at the source, upper reaches, middle reaches, and lower reaches were all different. What a showy mangy dog. One leaf of the Acheron grass at the source of the Acheron River is enough, said Bu Fong seriously. Lord Go and Hades seemed to have an agreement. They didn't care about each other. Mo Cha and Mo Sa's faces twitched. The heavenly secret Holy Land surroundings had been smashed, turning into ruins everywhere. Even the rocks had been tossed and turned into a mess. Let's go. There's nothing to see here. No ordinary vegetation can survive near the Acheron River. Only the spirit herbs can survive. Lord Go's fat body shook. He yawned, leading the way. Acheron grass grew by the Acheron River. That crazy woman. Anyone who covets the heavenly star, catcher disc, must die. Far from them, Mo Cha's clones had vanished. Only Mo Cha was left holding his trident, hovering in the sky. Bu Fong was skeptical, looking at you. She didn't seem to be in danger. She looked so peaceful. Darkness shrouded the entire area. The divine altar swayed in the air, trying to release light to break the darkness. Why'd I have to stay here? Hades rolled his eyes, asking unwillingly. Granny Mo's eyes seemed to have the divine flame burning. Lord Go curled his lips, sneering. His body bloomed with the ultimate radiance. They could only watch Granny Mo fight bravely, but they couldn't do anything. Was it closed today? The corners of Yu's mouth twitched. You guys go. I will cover you guys. If you need anything, use the spicy strip to call I, Hades Era said to Bu Fong with a spicy strip in his mouth. Granny Mo's eyes shrank. She grunted, spurting blood mixed with gold light. She fell on the defensive formation, and her body slid helplessly. Rumbling sounds resounded in the distance. Lord Go's mouth twitched. He was a little speechless. Don't play around. Finish this quickly. Take the heavenly star catcher disc and leave, said Mo Yi. Mo Yoji was speechless. What happened to the trust between people? Didn't they say yesterday that they would line up early in the morning? Yu was the same. She didn't know how long it had been since she had returned to the netherworld. She was filled with emotions as she looked around. At the entrance of the kitchen, Little White's huge body blocked his line of sight, making it impossible for him to look in. However, the Acheron grass in different areas was different. When they got to the restaurant, the black dog that used to sleep under the path understanding tree was gone. The netherworld ship was also gone. For the time being, the restaurant became empty. He glanced and saw a wooden sign hanging on the door that said, "Closed for business." Not only divine herbs, but also divine grade cooking ingredients. In the hidden dragon continent, there are existences at the divine spirit realm. However, divine spirit realm cooking ingredients are rare. No matter what, if you want to breed ingredients at that level, you need enough spirit energy and accumulation, continued Lord Go. What a joke. He wasn't going there to eat and dash. He would give them a good suggestion. Indeed, it's owner Boo's style. He says we're closed for business, and he does it. It was rare for Hades Era to agree with Lord Go. From a distance, Mo Yi finally shouted. He couldn't watch Mo Sa get killed. The Nether King was terrified. Forget it. You should go. I'm afraid that old man will kill me. He hasn't settled the score with me for stealing the reincarnation fruit. He raised his hand, gently patting Bu Fong's back. Filthy animal. Die. The heavenly secret saintess looked at the familiar handwriting on the door. Her red lips curled up under her veil. Mo Lyoji walked out of the inn. He couldn't wait to head to the Taodai restaurant. Mo Sa roared. His body rose, and the muscles on his fists bulged. He aimed at the giant god-slaying mace. Want to leave? Stay here for me. In the sky, the divine altar shattered, and the divine flame burned brightly. However, Bu Fong stomped his foot. Clasping his hands, he staggered into the Phoenix Pavilion across from him. Chu Changsheng got out of bed, rubbing his silver hair as he walked on the wooden floor of the corridor. His feet were bare, and his eyes were a little blurred. There were many facilities in the room that he had never seen before. For example, the bathroom that Bufong had mentioned, which made him feel very curious. Mo Yi, who had two vertical eyes on his forehead, looked at him indifferently. Lord Go is chatting with great sage Acheron. You guys should seize the chance to pick the Acheron grass. Remember, you can only pick one-leaf Acheron grass. Don't pick more than one. Remember that. Since he had nothing to do today, he decided to review what he had done. However, the god-slaying mace flew fast, sealing the space. He couldn't dodge, and it hit him hard. Mo Sa's nostrils fumed black smoke, his voice cold. Earth prison, netherworld specks of white light appeared in the air, and soon a gale began to howl. The friction made him spurt a mouthful of black blood. He fell on the ground like a cannonball, stirring up dust. Granny Mo said coldly. In the next moment, a compass appeared in her hand. Enough. Mo Yoji turned his head, squinting at the saintess as he asked, Your Highness, did Onorbu run away because he felt guilty after seeing you? Usually, at this hour, the kitchen would be filled with the sound of cooking. However, at this moment, it was so quiet. Nether King Air followed behind, looking at the dogs twisting, but he couldn't help but twitch his mouth, letting out a snort. The god-slaying mace's power didn't decrease. It aimed at Mo Sa's head. If his head exploded, Mo Sa would die. Buzzing sounds echoed. Chapter 8:18. From a distance, the terrifying aura rolled like the scorching sun. The scorching sun in the sky seemed to tear the darkness apart. There was another figure with the surging aura of a formation hovering around him. Even the void was trembling as these experts flew over with furious roars coming from their mouths. Mo Yez Glabella opened an eye, which seemed to be covered by halos. It seemed to have terrifying energy that could see through everything. He glanced into the distance and saw the experts who were rushing over. His face immediately turned solemn. His body moved. Like a leaf, he floated in front of Mo Sa, single-handedly grabbing Mo Sa's giant body. Mo Cha also flew up from the ground, hovering in the void. He landed by Mo Yi. There was a hideous wound on his back, and the flesh on that wound was squirming. However, because of the divine energy on the god-slaying mace, Mo Cha's recovery ability had lost its effect. His wound couldn't heal fast enough. Damn, that stinky old hag. Mo Cha wiped the black blood from the corner of his mouth. He was a little angry. Don't mess around. If the heavenly star falling disk isn't here, we should retreat. The reinforcements from the other holy lands are here. I can feel the terrifying aura of several divine spirit realm experts, said Mo Yi. What? Those fellows are really efficient. Mo Cha stuck out his long tongue, rolling it around his mouth. Mo Yi indifferently glanced at Mo Cha. You guys are too slow. Rumble, rumble. From a distance, a gold shadow dashed over. His terrifying aura shook the void. 9 scorching suns hovered in the void. It was the martial technique of the Rising Sun Holy Land. No doubt, the reinforcements from the Rising Sun Holy Land were here. Moreover, they weren't ordinary existences from the Rising Sun Holy Land. They were experts at the Holy Saint realm. The light emitted from his body pushed away the darkness. The Holy Saint cultivation base was much stronger than Granny Mo's. Of course, the 3 Mo Yi devils wouldn't be stupid enough to stay and resist the Holy Saint. Although they had torn the Great Path's principle first to come to the Hidden Dragon Continent, they understood that even though the High Priestess had covered the Great Path for them, if they acted recklessly, they would still be suppressed by the Great Path. We should retreat for now, said Mo Yi. Mo Sa and Mo Cha didn't say anything, but they agreed. The 3 devils soared into the sky, intending to retreat into the distance. However, the 3 demons soon narrowed their eyes. The reason for that was because an enormous formation descended from the sky and enveloped the 3 demons. A terrifying pressure instantly erupted, causing the 3 devils to feel immense pressure. Do you really think my hidden dragon royal court is your backyard? They can come and go as they please? The voice was faintly discernible. Then, a figure slowly descended from the sky. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign's pitch-black hair fluttered in the wind. His eyes were deep as he made a hand seal to seal his aura. In the distance, 9 blazing suns were rapidly approaching. A terrifying aura spread out, and the void seemed to be on the verge of burning. Evil creature, return my brother's life. The rising sun, sacred grounds, sacred sovereign roared in anger. Mo scanned the crowd. Then, the corners of his mouth rose, revealing a cold smile. The opened eye immediately emitted rays of light. Even the void trembled and was torn apart. A moment later, the 3 of them stepped into the void, disappearing without a trace. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign was shaken. His eyes shrank. Under his formation, the 3 devils could tear the void and escape. Damn it! The rising sun Saint Sovereign punched the void of the formation. The 9 blazing suns arrived at the same time, shattering the void. Why did they run away? Didn't you say that with your formation, they would die for sure? The rising sun Saint Sovereign was enraged to the extreme. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign coldly glanced at him. Then his body descended, flying toward Granny Mo. In the ruins, Granny Mo lay on the ground, her body covered in blood. Her beautiful face was stained with dark red spots, making her look very pitiful. Her face was extremely pale. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign landed, his face complicated as he looked at the peerless beauty in front of him. Liuli, the ancient jade Saint Sovereign, was bewildered, looking at Granny Mo. That familiar face, that familiar peerless grace, made him feel nostalgic. Granny Mo's face was so calm. She lay on the ground, her hair scattered. She was in a daze, looking at the starry sky. She had been watching the stars every day and night, watching countless stars move. However, she had never felt so relaxed looking at the starry sky. It was a different kind of feeling. Nether energy surged on Granny Mo's body, which continuously eroded the little vitality she had left. I'm here to save you, the ancient jade Saint Sovereign said. He took a step forward, raising his hand to expand the formation. However, he was desperate. No matter what he did, he couldn't dispel the nether energy covering Granny Mo. No need to trouble yourself. I've lived for so long, and I'm tired. It's time for me to rest. Granny Mo struggled to sit up, sitting cross-legged on her spot. Her beautiful face began to age rapidly as she moved, and in the next moment, her hair had turned white. After exploding the divine flame and shattering the divine altar, she didn't have much vitality left. Her entire body was covered in age spots. From a peerless beauty to a withered old woman, it was just a blink of an eye. The heavenly secret Holy Land's disciples looked at Granny Mo, who was on the verge of death, their hearts filled with endless sorrow. Some of them had tears streaming down their faces, while others were sobbing. A sorrowful aura filled the entire area. The rising sun, Saint Sovereign, descended. He was a middle-aged man with a masculine aura between his brows. He kept silent, looking at Granny Mo, whose vitality was fading away. He sighed. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign turned around, clasping his hands. His calm face had a hint of sorrow. Lioli, don't worry. I will take revenge for you. Valley of Glutton is sitting in a private room of a restaurant. The heavenly secret saintess was slowly drinking. The cup she was holding suddenly shook, and the wine spilled, splashing all over the table. Why do I feel so depressed? What happened? The heavenly secret saintess was a little bewildered. Her eyes seemed to have the starry sky moving. A moment later, she made a hand seal and began to calculate. However, after she finished, her heart was shrouded in endless sorrow. The result of her deduction made her sit at her spot in a daze. Granny Mo left. Granny Mo, who had treated her like her own granddaughter, died just like that. The heavenly secret saintess had tears in her beautiful eyes. Her heart was filled with sorrow. She jolted up, thinking that she must return to the heavenly secret Holy Land. However, after a few steps, she saw a lazy figure leaning against the door. He was holding a bamboo flask of wine, and his nose was swollen, blocking her way. Yoji, what do you mean? I want to go back to the Holy Land. The heavenly secret saintess said coldly, her eyes stiff. However, it was beyond her expectation. Yoji didn't give way. He turned to look at the saintess, a little sad. Your Highness, did Granny Mo die? Yoji was a little sad, raising his cup to drown his sorrow. If that's the case, then I can't let you leave the Valley of Gluttony. Granny Mo told me that you must stay in the Valley of Gluttony. Only Onerbu can help you control the Heavenly Star Catcher Disc. Your Highness, it's Granny Mo's only wish to control the Heavenly Star Catcher Disc. That's why I can't let you leave. Yoji said. The heavenly secret saintess was bewildered. She took several steps backward, sitting on the chair. Earth prison of the netherworld above the dark sky was a pressure that could make people's hearts shrink. A violent rumble resounded, and the ground shook violently. Bufong's face was emotionless. The ground he was standing on suddenly cracked and exploded, sending rocks everywhere. Roar! A loud and clear bestial roar resounded. A moment later, the ground under Bufong's feet cracked. A giant spirit beast opened its four-petaled mouth, trying to bite Bufong. The densely packed rows of sharp teeth would cause one's hair to stand on end just by looking at them. Yu's black eyes flashed. She raised her elegant hand, which had nether energy twirling around it. The danger of Earth prison in the netherworld comes from these savage beasts. You don't know when they will come out. Those beasts are really aggressive, said Yu. All of a sudden, her eyes were bewildered. She was about to take action, but she froze at her spot. A loud dragon roar echoed. The dragon's might burst out, and a scorching heat arose. The heaven and earth obsidian flame sparkled, turning into a fire dragon, hovering around Bufong. A gold dragon bone kitchen knife appeared in Bufong's hand. The dragon bone kitchen knife enlarged, turning into a giant knife. Bufong hoisted it on his shoulder. The savage beast, which had opened its mouth to attack Bufong, was suppressed by the dragon's might. It couldn't move at all. Then the knife slashed down. The spirit beast was cut in half, and blood gushed out. Is this the danger you mentioned? Bufong raised his head, his face emotionless. He looked at Yu in the distance. Yu's red lips twitched. She snorted, turning her head away. What? The meat quality of this spirit beast isn't bad. Bufong's eyes turned, falling on the spirit beast that was cut in half. In the next moment, the kitchen knife shrunk and spun in his hand. Then he swung it down fiercely. 2 slices of white and tender spirit beast meat flew into the air. They floated above Bufong's palm. Bufong's palm had flames twirling around it, wrapping around the 2 pieces of spirit beast meat. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The temperature suddenly rose, and the flames turned into dragons and snakes that swam around the spirit beast meat. The spirit energy seeped into every bit of the spirit beast meat. The spirit beast meat, which looked hard, softened instantly. Bufong's eyes brightened. Jars of seasoning emerged from the system dimensional bag. Under Bufong's control, those seasonings were sprinkled. Shortly after, the 2 pieces of spirit beast meat were roasted until they glowed red, emitting a thick aroma. Do you want to eat? Bufong looked at you. You looked at him, her face emotionless. Then, she looked at the giant beast that was cut in half. She couldn't help but pout. Although this spirit beast wasn't strong in Earth Prison, it was still a spirit beast at the Divine Soul Realm with a 5-step soul ladder. How could it be barbecued? I want. You thought for a while and decided to have a taste. No matter what, the aroma in the air was a little thick. Then, the 2 of them grabbed a piece of barbecued meat, eating while walking to the Acheron River. Aren't we too high profile? Bufong's mouth was covered with grease. He cocked his head, talking to you. Do you want to be low-key? It's okay. With Sir Hades here, it's okay to be high profile. You took a bite of the meat. The golden grease splashed. Steam rose from the meat, and the aroma assailed their nostrils. Rumble. All of a sudden, the roar of the surging river echoed in their ears. A huge amount of water vapor came surging over. In front of Bufong and you, an incomparably wide blood river emerged. Acheron River. They had arrived. Chapter 819. They had arrived at the Acheron River. Bufong and you looked at the vast, surging Acheron River in the distance, bewildered. They were holding roasted meat in their hands. Steam rose, rolling and rolling. Chomp! Bufong opened his mouth, his teeth closing as he tore the roasted meat. The golden, oily juice slowly dripped from the roasted meat, dripping on the ground. Steam surged, pouncing on Bufong's face. The Acheron River was a big river that ran through Earth Prison. The river water flowed all year round. The water was blood red, and there seemed to be skeletons floating in the river. Sometimes there were fragments of legendary divine weapons drifting by. It was a mysterious river. Follow me. It's really dangerous around the Acheron River. With your current competence, you'll encounter a calamity. Yu's mouth was full. She waved at Bufong, then continued to walk forward. Bufong was bewildered, but he quickly followed her. Tap! Tap! The green rocks seemed to be stained with blood as they approached the Acheron River, looking somewhat ferocious. It's called blood marble. It's because it's stained with the water of the Acheron River. It's considered a kind of mineral in Earth Prison. Since the blood marble is in ore that can conduct mental energy, many blacksmiths will add it when they refine weapons. You said, as the two of them walked, the vegetation around them gradually increased. There were actually green trees growing on the blood marble. The trees swayed, and the leaves collided with each other, creating a sound that made people's hair stand on end. Rumble, many spirit beasts crawled on the trees. Those spirit beasts were extremely ferocious, and they were stained with blood. They looked at Bufong and you, making their pores shrink. These are spiritual beasts that live on the banks of the Acheron River. They are very strong, but as long as you don't provoke them, they won't do anything, you said. Just as she finished speaking, the spirit beast, lying on the tree, moved and stuck out its snake-like tongue. Bufong took a bite of the roasted meat and nodded. Okay, we won't provoke you. We're just here to pick the Acheron grass. We'll leave after we're done, Bufong said. The aroma of the steaming barbecue wafted through the air. Bufong was very satisfied with the barbecue because the meat quality of this ingredient was really good. It was much better than many of the ingredients in the Hidden Dragon continent. Suddenly, the spirit beast lying on the tree moved. Their eyes were fixed on Bufong. The next moment, they opened their mouths and let out sharp screams. The voice resounded. The spirit beast jumped down from the tree and landed on the ground. The soil was sent flying as the spirit beast dashed toward Bufong. It was extremely fast. You and Bufong shuddered. Nethery's eyes narrowed. In the next instant, her slender hand flew up and struck a palm at the spirit beast. Didn't you say that if we don't provoke them, they won't attack us? Bufong put a mouthful of roasted meat into his mouth, asking suspiciously. Yu's face darkened. She didn't know what was going on. The spirit beast was so fast. In just a blink of an eye, it had pounced on them. However, after Yu's cultivation base had returned to the netherworld, it seemed to have become much stronger. The illusionary void seemed to solidify under her palm. With a bang, the spirit beast was sent flying backward. However, the spirit beast just somersaulted in the air, landing on the ground. A moment later, it pounced on them again. Squeak, squeak. The trees swayed. A moment later, the eyes that made people's hair stand on end sparkled. Spirit beasts craned their heads from each tree. Then, under Bufong and Yu's bewildered eyes, those spirit beasts landed on the ground, pouncing on the two of them. That horde of spirit beasts made you speechless. Run, you said. Facing so many spirit beasts, only a fool would fight them. Thus, Bufong and you grabbed the roasted meat, running away crazily. However, no matter where they ran, those spirit beasts followed them, crazily pouncing on Bufong and you. Bufong furrowed his brows. His heart was moved. A moment later, he threw the roasted meat far away. The piping hot barbecued meat streaked across the air in an arc. Finally, with a smacking sound, it fell to the ground in the distance. Speaking of which, it was strange. The spirit beasts that had been chasing after Bufong all changed their target, crazily pouncing on the roasted meat. When Nethery saw this scene, she suddenly understood. It turned out that these spirit beasts were attracted by Bufong's cooking. Thinking about that, you decided to throw the roasted meat away to attract the spirit beasts. However, before throwing the roasted meat away, you took a big bite. Oil splashed everywhere, and the roasted meat filled her mouth. After chewing a few times, you threw the roasted meat away, which attracted many spirit beasts. As she chewed, the two of them looked at each other, their faces expressionless. Who would have thought that the roasted meat in their hands would attract those spirit beasts? Indeed, crossing the river with roasted meat was too eye-catching. Let's go. While those guys are attracted by the roasted meat, you said, pulling Bufong's hand, planning to walk away. However, as soon as they took a step, they stopped, because, from a distance, many spirit beasts were staring at Bufong and you, blocking their way. Let's go back. Bufong looked at the group of greedy spirit beasts, then said to you. The two of them had no choice but to go back. Bufong once again found the gigantic body of the spirit beast. As they were gone for a while, many spirit beasts like wolves had their eyes on the carcasses. The netherworld is a world where the strong prey on the weak. Here, the one with the bigger fist is the one who rules, you said. Those wolves weren't strong, but they made Bufong feel the danger of the netherworld. As soon as the dragon bone kitchen knife appeared, those wolves ran away under the dragon's might. Bufong took out a big piece of meat from the giant spirit beast's corpse, putting it into the system-dimensional bag. Then, he returned to the same spot. This time, Bufong directly took out the black turtle constellation walk. Didn't those spirit beasts like to roast meat? Let's use the roasted meat to attract those spirit beasts. The golden dragon bone kitchen knife spun in Bufong's hand. After twirling the knife, Bufong began to roast the spirit beast meat. Using the black turtle constellation wok to roast the meat, the aroma was even thicker. Pieces of golden roasted meat appeared and stacked on top of each other. More and more spirit beasts poked their heads out of the trees. Bufong and you exchanged looks. Then, they took a step forward, dashing away. With one step, a piece of roasted meat flew out, flying far away. In just a blink of an eye, it had attracted a big group of spirit beasts. He continued to run and toss. Soon, the spirit beasts were lured away one after another. However, the two of them didn't stop running, because after those spirit beasts finished eating the roasted meat, they continued to chase after them. Bufong, and you didn't even turn their heads back. They started to run as fast as they could. Unknowingly, the two of them gradually passed through the dense forest, arriving at the Acheron River. When those spirit beasts got close to the river, they didn't dare to move forward. They all retreated, as if they were afraid of something. The water of the Acheron River was blood red, as if the entire river was dyed with fresh blood. The river water was blood red, and no one could see what was under the river. We have to cross the river. The other side of the river is where the Acheron grass grows. You pointed at the other side of the river, which was shrouded in blood mist. The other side of the river was so hazy that no one could see what was there. You waved her hand, and in the next instant, the netherworld ship appeared. Get on the ship. We'll cross it. With our strength, if we dare to cross the river in the air, we will be struck down into the river by a true terror. At that time, we will be corroded into bones. Unless it's an existence like Lord Dog, if we dare to fly in the air, we will be courting death. You said, after saying that, the two of them boarded the netherworld ship. Swoosh, the river water rippled. The netherworld ship entered the water. You and Bufong stood on the deck of the netherworld ship, standing there quietly. A wave of energy burst forth, pushing the netherworld ship, swaying as it moved toward the other side of the river. Bufong stood at the bow of the ship, looking at the river water. The river water surged, as if a ferocious beast was roaring. From time to time, there would be broken bones tumbling out, and there were also broken pieces floating past. It made people's hair stand on end. The Acheron River was very mysterious. The netherworld ship swayed, quickly disappearing into the hazy blood mist. On the riverbank, the spirit beasts that were fighting for their barbecued meat climbed to the top of the trees. They craned their necks, sticking out their tongues as they watched the netherworld ship disappear. Hidden Dragon continent several hundred miles away from the heavenly secret Holy Land, a void suddenly distorted. In the next moment, the void tore apart and turned into a broken, twisted hole. 3 figures slowly walked out of that hole. Boom! As soon as they got out of the space crack, Mo saw plop down on the ground, gasping for air. His huge body gradually shrank, turning into an ordinary 3-meter-tall creature. On his body, there were many bloody holes, from which black blood flowed unceasingly. The divine energy around his wounds was being corroded by his nether energy. Shortly, the divine energy disappeared, and the bloody holes on Mo Sa's body slowly healed. That scared me to death. I was almost killed by that old hag, Mo Sa said with lingering fear as he touched the metal ring on his horn. The reason why the Hidden Dragon continent could guard the Heaven Pass for so many years is because there are so many people like that old hag who don't care about their lives. If I weren't here this time, you would be dead now, said Mo Yi indifferently. The vertical eye on his forehead closed, resuming its calm state. Mo Cha's wings flapped. He was a little angry as he wiped the corner of his mouth, wiping away the black blood. Damn it, my senses weren't wrong. The heavenly star catcher disc should be in this heavenly secret holy land. You promised me, and now you've made a mistake. Tell me, do you want to die? Mo Yi clasped his hands, indifferently glancing at Mo Cha. Mo Cha's entire body tensed. The Heaven Pass tribulation is about to begin. If we can't find the heavenly star catcher disc and bring it back, we will have to pay a big price to break the Heaven Pass. So, you should sense where the heavenly star catcher disc is right now. If you can't find it, you will die here. Mo Yi seemed to be enraged. His eyes became extremely cold. The first vertical eye between his eyebrows opened slightly, and a cold light seeped out. Mo Cha's body tensed, and several feathers on his back fell off. Don't. Big brother Mo Yi, let's talk nicely. I'm going to sense it now. Mo Cha waved his hand. A moment later, he closed his eyes, his mental energy scattering everywhere. All of a sudden, Mo Cha opened his eyes wide, his face odd as he looked at Mo Yi. Big brother Mo Yi, I sensed it. Mo Yi was bewildered. Where? That direction. Mo Cha pouted, raising his hand to point in the opposite direction of the heavenly secret holy land. That direction was where the Valley of Gluttony was. Chapter 820. That direction? Mo Yi frowned, looking at Mo Cha as if he didn't trust him. It was because that direction was opposite to the heavenly secret holy land. It seemed to be a coincidence. He felt that Mo Cha wasn't reliable anymore. Big boss Missouri Yi, trust me. If we can't find a heavenly star catcher disc this time, I will pluck all the feathers from my wings. Mo Cha shouted, putting a lot of effort. So ruthless? Sitting on the ground, Mo Sa touched the metal ring. He was surprised, looking at Mo Cha. It seemed Mo Cha was really confident this time. Mo Yi seemed to be moved. He nodded. Then I'll believe you for once. Where is the specific location of the direction you mentioned? Asked Mo Yi. Maha, let's go. If we get close to the heavenly star catcher disc, my feeling will become stronger. So, Big Boss Missouri Yi, you have to trust me, said Mo Cha. The wings on his back trembled, and he immediately turned into a pitch-black line that shot out. Mo Yi clasped his hands, his long robe fluttering in the wind. The tip of his feet touched the void. His body broke through the void, flying after the other. Mo Sa rubbed his head, pounding the ground. His body soared, flying toward that direction. Mo Sa's flesh wiggled. Shortly after, the bloody hole on his body healed at a speed naked eyes could observe. Heavenly Secret Holy Land, the entire Heavenly Secret Holy Land, was shrouded in sorrow. Granny Mo was dead. She had died to resist the demon. One by one, figures walked out of the array. They looked at Granny Mo, who was lying quietly on the ground, in despair. A mournful expression appeared on their faces. They kneeled on the ground, facing Granny Mo. Some were crying, while others had tears in their eyes. The entire heavenly secret holy land was shrouded in sorrow. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign wore a white robe. His handsome face had a faint, sorrowful look. Emol Yoli was from the same generation as him. At that time, Emol Yoli was so charming that she could make many men fall for her. That year, the ancient jade Saint Sovereign had fallen in love with Emol Yoli. Unfortunately, he didn't succeed. He was rejected. Today, he still had his charm, but Emol Yoli had fallen. An indescribable sorrow filled the ancient jade Saint Sovereign's heart. He exhaled deeply. He walked to Emol Yoli's corpse and looked at the serene Granny Mo. His furrowed brows immediately relaxed. His hands quickly formed a seal. Formations appeared one after another, floating in the air. The formation rapidly converged and quickly formed a coffin. The coffin was completely forged by array formations, which were circulating and emitting a mysterious aura. After the ancient jade Saint Sovereign finished building the coffin, his body slightly shook and his face paled. Zhang Xian waved his hand. Granny Mo's figure suddenly floated up from the ground and slowly landed in the array coffin. Rumble. With a muffled sound, the coffin's lid closed and covered Granny Mo's corpse. Senior Ancient Jade Saint Sovereign. What do you mean? Granny Mo is a member of my heavenly secret holy land. You can't take her body away like this. A sect master-level existence from the heavenly secret holy land said, his eyes reddening as he glared at the ancient jade Saint Sovereign. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign clasped one hand behind his back and raised the other, holding the array coffin. He indifferently turned his head, glancing at the sect master-level existence who had just shouted at him. With just one look, that sect master-level existence felt his entire body go cold. That sect master-level existence felt as if his body had been bound by a formation, as if he had fallen into an ice cave. You still have the face to talk to me? I will keep Emol Yoli's body. When the Saint Sovereign of your heavenly secret holy land returns, tell him to find me. When Emol Yoli needs him, where is he? The ancient jade Saint Sovereign said coldly. That sect master-level existence didn't dare to speak anymore, retreating. The rising sun Saint Sovereign looked at the ancient jade Saint Sovereign, coldly snorting. He came here to take revenge for the sect master-level existences of his ancient jade Saint Sovereign. However, the ancient jade Saint Sovereign couldn't seal the three devils, which made him angry. He wanted to find the ancient jade Saint Sovereign to settle the debt. All of a sudden, the ancient jade Saint Sovereign and the rising sun Saint Sovereign were shaken. The heavenly secret holy land was also shaken. A moment later, a long voice arose from the main hall of the heavenly secret holy land. Woo 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 woo. It was the sound of horn being blown. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign's eyes shrank as he held the coffin array. His face became stern. The rising sun Saint Sovereign cursed, clenching his fists. Damn it, the Heaven Pass tribulation has begun. We should go to the hidden dragon Heaven Pass. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign sighed. The rising sun Saint Sovereign was so unwilling. If we go to the hidden dragon Heaven Pass, what should we do with those three devils? Without us, who can stop those three devils? Should we rely on the heavenly secret Saint Sovereign who's in the endless sea? The rising sun Saint Sovereign clenched his fists, hissing. However, it was beyond his expectation that the ancient jade Saint Sovereign was calm. He didn't seem worried at all. No need to worry. Those three devils have used the Great Path's principle to enter the continent because of the heavenly secret holy land's heavenly star catcher disc. How could Granny Mo not know their purpose? She's staying in the heavenly secret holy land to release the heavenly star catcher disc's aura to confuse those three devils. She's trying to buy time for the real owner of the heavenly star catcher disc. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign said. If I'm not wrong, the ancient jade Saint Sovereign's eyes sparkled. He couldn't help but think of the Valley of Gluttony. In the Valley of Gluttony, he had met Granny Mo. No doubt, she had predicted something. The heavenly secret saintess was the candidate to control the heavenly star catcher disc. Now that she wasn't in the heavenly secret Holy Land, no doubt she had gone to the Valley of Gluttony. The Valley of Gluttony? The ancient jade Saint Sovereign exhaled deeply. He turned to look at Granny Mo's coffin. This woman was still so cunning. The Taodai restaurant in the Valley of Gluttony. With that restaurant, the Valley of Gluttony could be said to be the safest place besides the lands of the great sage. Since the heavenly star catcher disc was there, the ancient jade Saint Sovereign could relax. After all, that dog had almost killed him with just a strand of its fur. That kind of existence was the real taboo existence. If those three devils dared to attack the Valley of Gluttony, the consequences would be terrible. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign knew that the dog in the Taotai restaurant was completely different from the three devils. Are you telling the truth? The rising sun Saint Sovereign asked. The ancient jade Saint Sovereign glanced at him. He was too lazy to care about him. He took a step forward, tearing the void. He clasped one hand, holding the coffin in the other as he stepped inside. The corners of the rising sun Saint Sovereign's mouth twitched. His cold eyes looked in the direction the three devils had left. Eventually, he tore the void and left. The Heaven Pass tribulation had begun. They had to go to the hidden Dragon Heaven Pass. Swish, the netherworld ship slowly moved in the Acheron River. He slowly broke through the river, and the river split into two, splashing and churning. The air was filled with a hazy blood mist. The blood mist was like silk, causing one's line of sight to become very short. Bufong could be considered to be at the divine soul realm. His vision could reach several miles. However, on the Acheron River, he could only see a few meters. Bufong stood on the bow of a ship. The wind blew. The Acheron River was like blood, but it didn't have the smell of blood. Instead, it was cold. After crossing the river, they reached the place where the Acheron grass grew. That was Bufong's goal. The place where Bufong and the others crossed the river wasn't the source, but it wasn't far from the source. As long as they reached the shore, they could continue to move forward and reach the source. The source of the Acheron River was a forbidden area. No living creature could get close. Before they came, the Lord Go had told them that they could pick the Acheron grass at the source of the Acheron River. However, they could never get close to the source of the Acheron River. Bufong didn't understand. However, the mysterious feeling that the Acheron River gave him made him understand that the source was definitely not ordinary. With his current strength, he couldn't go there to investigate. Buzz, suddenly, in that hazy blood mist, dots of light appeared. They were not far from the netherworld ship. Bufong and you were stunned. The two looked over with rapt attention. As the netherworld ship approached, Bufong gradually saw the main body of that light. It was actually a blooming white lotus. That lotus was clear, but not demonic. Although it grew in the blood-colored Acheron River, it was pure white. Otherwise, it wouldn't have any impurities or blood color. Host, please note, detected a divine grade ingredient, senseless lotus. Host strength is not enough, so you can't pick it. When he saw that pure white lotus, Bufong's mind seemed to be attracted by it. His entire being was immersed in it. However, the serious voice of the system in his head made Bufong startled. He was actually charmed by that white lotus. Senseless lotus? Bufong furrowed his brows. Divine grade ingredient. An ingredient that could make the system alert was definitely not ordinary. Turning his head to look, Yu's pitch-black eyes were tightly locked on that white lotus. Her eyes were filled with confusion. Without a doubt, Yu was also charmed. She didn't have the system's alert, so she naturally couldn't wake up. Bufong raised his palm, gently patting Yu's face. The smoothness in his hand made Bufong's brows slightly twitch. Yu, who had been slapped in the face, suddenly woke up. Her whole body trembled. It's a senseless lotus? We actually encountered the senseless lotus. You gasped for breath, her eyes filled with horror. The senseless lotus was a divine grade spirit herb that drifted in the Acheron River. Rumor had it that anyone who saw this spirit herb couldn't walk out of the Acheron River alive. Can I pick it? Bufong stared at the senseless lotus expressionlessly. He had an impulse to pick it up. The dishes cooked with this level of ingredient would definitely be delicious. However, after thinking about it, he gave up. The system had warned him that he couldn't pick it, and the Lord Go had also warned him that he couldn't touch anything except the Acheron grass. Hence, Bufong still didn't want to court death. The senseless lotus can't be touched. Those who want to pick the senseless lotus are all dead. This is a spirit herb full of disasters. You said, but the senseless lotus can break any curse in the world. Yu's eyes lit up. As a netherworld woman, she was exiled to the hidden dragon continent's space current. She carried a curse, so she naturally had a little desire for this kind of spirit herb that could break curses. Unfortunately, she was too weak. The netherworld ship continued to move, passing the senseless lotus. That divine herb continued to radiate dazzling light in a hazy blood mist. It was like a siren's song, attracting people and making them rush to their deaths like moths darting into a flame. After passing the senseless lotus, the netherworld ship's speed increased. Swish! Waves rose. Very quickly, the swaying riverbank suddenly became clear, because the misty blood mist had also thinned. See that? That's the Acheron grass. Nethery raised her fair and slender arm, pointing at the spirit herbs that were swaying on the riverbank, which were twinkling with light. These spirit herbs grew by the river, enjoying the nourishment of the blood-colored Acheron River. Under the nourishment of the blood-colored river, they had a cold, dark green color. Among these spirit herbs, some had 1 leaf, some had 2 leaves, and some had 3 leaves. However, most of them were the 1-leaf Acheron grass. No matter what, the Acheron grass had 1 leaf for 1,000 years. Bufong's eyes lit up, and he immediately revealed a look of excitement. It was really the Acheron grass. Rumble. However, just as Bufong and you were excited, the Acheron River suddenly surged. A moment later, the river water surged, making an explosive sound. A giant shadow dashed out of the river. The blood-colored river water poured down like rain. Chapter 8:21. Thud, thud, thud. His feet stepped on the ground, causing the ground to tremble slightly. Sa grinned, and the muscles on his body bulged like a small mountain. Their bodies were draped in black robes that obscured their figures. Cha's wings flapped slightly. He soared up into the sky, his long tongue sticking out, rolling around. Buzz, Yi clasped his hands. His body floated in the void, his eyes indifferent. It seemed he was always calm when doing anything. Cha and Sa were really afraid of him. Sometimes, they would glance at him with fear in their eyes. In the ruined prison, Ye's status seemed to be more noble than theirs, and his competence was more immeasurable. The 3 of them stopped, looking at the wall in front of them that looked like ripples. They all grinned. Boss Missouri Yi, my heart is beating faster and faster. This feeling, yes, it's this feeling. Cha's eyes opened wide, filled with excitement. His entire body couldn't help but shiver. The wings on his back flapped, and the black feathers on his back floated unceasingly. Is it here? It's such a low-class, confusing formation. Yi rose his hand. His hand was green, and his nails were sharp and long. When the palm touched the translucent array formation, a rumbling sound rang out. The formation immediately melted like snow melting from ice. A gust of wind blew with water vapor, brushing against Ye's face. His hair fluttered in the wind. The formation shattered, and the scene that had been confusing and distorting their vision emerged. It wasn't anything else. It was a whole world. Inside the continuous mountain range was a massive, glorious city. In the center of the city, a black stone stele shot up into the sky. Metal skyscrapers stretched across the sky. It was a bustling area. Mo Cha and Mo Sa gawked, dropping their jaws. This is a formation used by the people of the Hidden Dragon continent to confuse people's vision. Normally, if people who can't see through this formation come here, they will easily miss this intersection and walk the wrong path, said Amoyi. To him, this so-called bewilderment array was simply too simple and crude. He had two vertical eyes, one of which could see through all illusions, while the other was an ultimate attack. Breaking this formation was only a matter of minutes. Let's go. To think that there would be such a flourishing city behind this formation. Mo, you was surprised. His body floated in the void. His toes didn't touch the ground as he drifted forward slowly. Mo Sa and Mo Cha exchanged looks, seeing the excitement in each other's eyes. There's food again. Kikik, we can have a big meal again. The two of them sneered, and in the next moment, they quickly followed. The three of them traveled for a while before quickly coming to a stop. This was because there was a huge stone tablet erected on the road not far from them. 3 large words were written on the stone tablet in a flamboyant style. Valley of Gluttony. Valley of Gluttony? It seems to be a second-class force in the Hidden Dragon continent. It's weaker than any of the Holy Lands. Mo Cha looked at the words Valley of Gluttony, rubbing his chest. He could feel his heart beating faster. This time, he was absolutely right. The Heavenly Star Catcher Disc was in the Valley of Gluttony. I don't care if it is second-rate force or not. We're here for the Heavenly Star Catcher Disc. Even if it's a holy land, we'll attack it, let alone this Valley of Gluttony. Moi said. He raised his head, and his vertical eye squirmed. However, it did not open. He looked toward the sky. The heaven past tribulation has already begun. We need to speed up. Kill, kill, kill. I'll have a good meal, and then I'll take the Heavenly Star Catcher Disc. It's wonderful. Mo Cha laughed, his eyes excited. Mo Sa was also pounding the ground, causing it to crack unceasingly. After a while, the three of them continued to move forward, heading toward the Valley of Gluttony. Inside the Valley of Gluttony, Chu Changsheng happily walked out of the Noodle King restaurant. He patted his belly and swung his silver hair, his face contented. During these 2 days, Owner Boo wasn't home. As a waiter, he had nothing to do, so he ran around. After eating in one restaurant, he went to another. After eating in the Phoenix Pavilion, he went to the Noodle King restaurant. After eating in the Noodle King restaurant, he went to Wunren Shang's restaurant. After eating there, he didn't need to pay because he would give them good advice. Those kids didn't dare to say anything. Thus, there were only 3 words to describe his current mood. So good. Chu Changsheng held a bamboo skewer in his mouth, clasping his hands as he strolled on the street of the Gluttony God City. He learned from Bu Fong, using a velvet rope to tie his hair. His entire person seemed to be somewhat refreshed. All of a sudden, he was bewildered. From a distance, a woman wearing a veil was slowly walking toward him like a fairy. Chu Changsheng's eyes shrank. He was a little surprised. Heavenly Secret Saintess? Why is she here? Chu Changsheng was a little bewildered. The Heavenly Secret Saintess often came to the Valley of Gluttony, so Chu Changsheng knew her well. Among the saintesses of many holy lands, the Heavenly Secret Saintess was the weirdest one. She used to come to the Valley of Gluttony every day to eat delicious food. This saintess was a foodie. Chu Changsheng had identified her a long time ago. The Heavenly Secret Saintess seemed to see Chu Changsheng. Her deep and cold eyes raked through Chu Changsheng, making him shiver. This feeling was a little different. The Heavenly Secret Saintess had become more immeasurable. Mo Liuji followed behind the Heavenly Secret Saintess. His chest was exposed. While following the Saintess, he was chugging wine from the bamboo tube. All of a sudden, the 3 of them stopped in their tracks. They could feel an aura that made their hearts palpitate. This aura, the Heavenly Secret Saintess, Mo Liuji, and Chu Changsheng were frightened. They lifted their heads, looking at the entrance of the Valley of Gluttony. A terrifying aura came from that direction. That aura didn't come with good intentions. Above the sky, dark clouds rolled and covered the sky, like the surging waves of the sea. It was like a majestic mountain was pressing on their chests. The terrifying aura came. Acheron River, Earth Prison, Netherworld, the river water splashed. The Netherworld ships swayed hard, making Bufong and you, who were standing on the deck, unable to stand stably. Their eyes were filled with shock. They lifted their heads to see the giant spirit beast that had jumped over the Netherworld ship. That spirit beast was huge, and its entire body was black. A terrifying and oppressive aura diffused from it, making Bufong feel pressured. Because of the system, Bufong wasn't afraid of any pressure. However, the feeling of danger from that divine beast made his heart beat faster. Just as they were about to land, the appearance of such a spirit beast caused them to frown. You wave her hand. Instantly, a jet of pitch-black nether energy diffused, turning into a sky curtain that covered the entire Netherworld ship. The blood-colored river water was like raindrops, smashing on the nether energy barrier. Instantly, sizzling sounds of corrosion could be heard. The water of the Acheron River was extremely poisonous, and it had a strong corrosive effect. Splash! A loud sound rang out. That spirit beast dived into the water once again. A moment later, it swayed, stirring up waves in the river. Then, it dashed toward the blood-colored mist in front of it. Bufong's eyes stared at the misty area. All of a sudden, his eyes slightly shrank. That was because in the mist, he suddenly saw a pitch-black ship pulling a bronze palace that was floating on the surface of the water, drifting over. Bufong was bewildered. He thought that his eyes were playing tricks on him. He rubbed his eyes and looked again. However, he could only see a corner of the bronze palace. A moment later, the figure of the bronze palace was swallowed by the blood-colored mist, disappearing without a trace. You didn't seem to see that bronze palace. With a thud, the Netherworld ship reached the shore. The two of them got off the ship, standing on the ground by the Acheron River. That solid feeling made the two of them exhale deeply. This Acheron River was really terrifying. This time, they were lucky enough to get through it without any mishaps. In the end, that giant spirit beast didn't even bother to attack them. Instead, it swam toward the mist, as if there was something in the mist that was attracting it. Could it be the bronze palace that was being pulled by a huge black ship? What kind of palace was that? Why was it floating in the Acheron River? Bufong's heart was full of doubts. However, no one could explain it to him. He had told you, but you had a blank face. Obviously, she didn't know what the big ship pulling the palace meant. Since she couldn't figure it out, Bufong didn't bother to figure it out. He followed you, walking forward. There were many Acheron grasses around. However, most of the Acheron grasses here were shriveled and young. Some of them had just sprouted their sharp edges. Although Bufong only needed one leaf of the Acheron grass, one leaf of Acheron grass was still precious. The Acheron grass is managed by the great sage Acheron. The great sage Acheron. How should I say it? This existence is famous for being stingy in the Netherworld. He hates people who stealthily pluck his Acheron grass and reincarnation fruits. If he catches you, your soul will be cruelly extracted and thrown into the reincarnation well to be tortured. You said. Bufong's heart pounded. He was a little scared. Extracting the soul and throwing it into the reincarnation well, that was really domineering. So, we have to be careful. Lord Dog is chatting with the great sage Acheron. This way, the great sage Acheron won't pay attention to us. If we pluck a one-leaf Acheron grass and run, the great sage Acheron won't be able to sense it. You blinked her pitch-black eyes, looking at Bufong. While talking, the two of them had unknowingly walked far in the direction of the source. All of a sudden, you pulled Bufong's hand, taking several steps back. Bufong was bewildered. We're here. In front of us is the source of the Acheron River, but we can't get close to it. Right now, we're also at the source of the Acheron River. The Acheron grass here is enough to meet your requirements, but what? Bufong was bewildered. You glanced at Bufong, then raised her hand, pointing in the distance. Several miles in front of them, two stone statues stood there. They didn't move an inch, but they looked incomparably majestic. Those stone statues looked ferocious, with round, angry eyes, wings on their backs, and a trident in their hands. They looked like fiends. Those stone statues were set up by the great sage Acheron here to prevent people from plucking the Acheron grass. As long as we get close, we will be sensed. At that time, there will be a great calamity. You said solemnly, "Don't think that they're just stone statues. Actually, they're living creatures. They're two stone statue ghost kings." Stone statue ghost kings? They seem to be very powerful. What should we do? Bufong furrowed his brows. Yu's face revealed a strange expression. She glanced at Bufong, the corners of her mouth twitching. This is the time to show your real skills. The stone statue ghost kings are gluttons. You need to numb them with delicious food. That way, you can find a chance to sneak in. Chapter 822. The stone statue ghost kings were gluttonous. Hence, you suggested to Bufong that Bufong cook something delicious to attract the stone statue ghost king's attention. Then, while the two stone statue ghost kings were paying attention to the food, they would sneak in, pluck a leaf of Acheron grass, and run away. Needless to say, Yu's idea was really whimsical. After all, Bufong didn't understand the taste of the two stone statue ghost kings, so it would be really difficult to cook a dish that could make them completely fall in love with it. However, Yu's idea was the simplest solution that the two of them could come up with. Why don't we just use spicy strips to tempt them? Bufong thought for a while, then suggested. He thought that spicy strips should be something that everyone could eat, so it shouldn't be hard to attract the two stone statue ghost kings. Of course, even if they couldn't attract them, they could still attract Hades, right? The Nether King's battle prowess was definitely much stronger than these two stone statue ghost kings. At that time, the Nether King could slap them to death with a single slap. It was simple and easy. He found that he was getting more and more adept at tricking Little Ha. However, you rejected this idea. If His Excellency Hades slaps these two stone statue ghost kings to death, the entire Earth prison in the Netherworld will be shaken tomorrow. The great sage Acheron will definitely chase after His Excellency Hades until the Acheron River runs dry. You glanced at Bufong from the corner of her eyes. That's serious? Bufong couldn't help but smack his tongue. The stone statue ghost kings are the great sage Acheron's favorite playthings. If they're killed, the consequences will be more serious than stealing the Acheron grass and the reincarnation fruit. Bufong smacked his lips as he looked at the two stone statue ghost kings, who were glaring at him. He couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. This great sage Acheron's taste was really heavy. He could even vent his emotions on two stone people. Therefore, the simplest and also the best method is to see the dishes you cook. If your dishes can't attract the stone statue ghost king, then there's really no hope for the Acheron grass. Don't think about breaking through by force. Any stone statue ghost king is an invincible existence in the hidden dragon continent. Do you think that we can break through it with our strength? You said coldly. It seemed that besides cooking, there was no other way. After all, the gargoyles were gluttonous, and this was the only way to deal with them. With his hand clasped behind his back, Bufong paced back and forth. Finally, he frowned and rubbed his chin. Since that was the case, he could only cook. However, Bufong was hesitant about what he should cook. If the dish he cooked couldn't attract the two stone statue ghost kings, wouldn't it be a waste of effort? Bufong looked around. There were a lot of Acheron grass around. However, the quality of the Acheron grass wasn't good, and it wasn't that old. On the ground, the blood-colored blood marble was constantly scattered. There are fish in the Acheron River. The stone statue ghost kings like to eat the fish in the Acheron River, said you. Fish? Bufong's eyes brightened. He strode forward, and shortly, he reached the vicinity of the Acheron River. Looking at the surging water in the river, he frowned. The blood-colored river blocked Bufong's sight. The water wasn't clear, and he couldn't see the fish swimming in the river. Were there really fish in the Acheron River? To this, Bufang was a little skeptical. No matter what, the Acheron River was blood red, and it was terrifyingly corrosive. How could ordinary fish survive in it? Even if they were fish, could they be eaten? However, when he recalled the gigantic spirit beast that burst out from the river and soared into the sky, he believed that there were fish in the river. The Acheron River's corrosiveness isn't really toxic. It's because the nether energy in the Acheron River is too thick. That's why the water is so corrosive, explained you to Bufang, giving him some general knowledge. Bufang's frown deepened. If it's because of the high nether energy, why is the river blood red and not black? Isn't the nether energy black? In the legends, a real god fell in the Acheron River. The god's blood dyed the entire Acheron River red. Until now, no one could understand the blood-red color of the river, said you. Do you believe me? Are you from the netherworld, or am I? If I say there are fish, there are fish. You looked at Bufang with an emotionless face, speaking seriously. Bufang's mouth twitched. All right, if you say there are fish, there are fish. Bufang walked to the riverside, taking out a fishing rod from the system-dimensional bag. This fishing rod was the leftover one Bufang had made when he was fishing in the Sunset Lake in the Valley of Gluttony. At this moment, it came in handy. The baited hook was thrown into the river. Bufang sat cross-legged on the bank of the Acheron River, fishing quietly. The Acheron River was very turbulent, causing the fishing line to tilt. Time passed minute by minute, second by second. Nethery crossed her slender legs and sat to the side. She felt a little bored. However, Bufang closed his eyes as though he was an old monk in meditation. He didn't move at all. He didn't move for a long time. All of a sudden, the fishing line in the Acheron River moved up and down. Bufang's eyes opened, and there seemed to be a light flashing in the depths of his eyes. He stood up, true energy surging. With a sudden force, he pulled the fish out of the Acheron River. Boom! The river water exploded. Instantly, a blood-colored fish, half the size of a human, flew out of the river. The fish's eyes were confused, as though it didn't know why it flew out of the river. I caught a fish. You deal with it. Bufang grabbed the fishing rod with both hands. After the fish reacted, it began to struggle violently. The huge force made Bufang almost lose his grip on the fishing rod. Nethery stood up and dashed forward, dashing towards the swimming fish. Sizzle, sizzle. However, as soon as he moved, the fish's body swelled up. A moment later, black energy rays shot out in all directions, shooting toward you as though they wanted to pierce through you. You raised her hand. Nether energy twirled around her, blocking the black rays. Her palm pushed forward, and the nether energy ruthlessly hit the fish's head. With a thud, the fish fainted, falling to the ground. Your luck isn't bad. You caught a weak fish. If you had caught a heavenly ethereal realm spirit beast, you would have cried, you said. Bufang glanced at her, and the corners of his mouth curled up. His hand moved, and the fish was pulled over. True energy covered his palm, grabbing the fish. However, his palm wasn't corroded. Indeed, it was as you had said. Although the nether energy in the river was thick and corrosive, the creatures and ingredients in the river weren't poisonous. This saved Bufang a lot of trouble. Taking out the dragon bone kitchen knife, Bufang killed the fish in the Acheron River. This fish was considered a low-grade spirit beast in the Acheron River, so it was easy for Bufang to deal with it. Just as you had said, if a heavenly ethereal realm spirit beast came out of the Acheron River, it would eat both of them. The heavenly ethereal realm was equivalent to an existence at the divine spirit realm who had ignited the divine flame. As for the great ethereal realm, it was an existence at the almighty level. In the netherworld, the heavenly ethereal realm was divided into the first revolution to the ninth revolution, which corresponded to the divine flame of the divine spirit realm. If it was a heavenly ethereal realm creature, with Bufang's and Yu's competence, they would have to die here. After cutting the fish's belly and cleaning its internal organs with the spirit spring water, the fish meat emitted an indescribable aroma. Bufang was pleasantly surprised. Even though it was a spirit beast of the lowest grade, the quality of its flesh was unexpectedly good. The dragon bone kitchen knife danced. Shortly, the fish meat was all processed. You watched with interest. Watching Bufong cook was a kind of enjoyment. What dish will Bufong cook this time? You couldn't figure out, but it didn't stop her from admiring Bufong's cooking. After Bufong had processed the fish, he stood up, walking to a giant blood marble. Bufong brought a blood marble, which had blood veins crawling on it. It looked really ferocious. Exhaling gently, Bufong took several steps back. He raised his hand, and the dragon bone kitchen knife radiated light. Shortly after, it became so big, and Bufong hoisted it on his shoulder. Slash after slash towards the blood marble. Shortly after, the blood marble was completely shattered. You gawked, dropping her jaw as she watched. Shortly after, a blood marble wok appeared. After Bufong's meticulous polishing, the surface of the wok became very smooth. However, it made you more skeptical. Didn't Bufong have a wok? Why did he have to make a wok? Today's dish is called blood marble wok fish. We'll use this blood marble wok, explained Bufong, looking at you, who was bewildered. Buzz black smoke twirled, and the black turtle constellation wok emerged. Bufong took a step back, then opened his mouth, spurting a heaven and earth obsidian flame. The flame entered the bottom of the black turtle constellation wok, burning fiercely. While it was burning, Bufong poured the ingredients into the wok, starting to cook the soup. While he was cooking the soup, Bufong took out the fish. The dragon bone kitchen knife shrank. His palm pulled and sucked, and the dragon bone kitchen knife spun, making a knife flower. The next moment, the golden saber radiance shot out like a meteor flashing past. The knife skill was as fast as lightning, which dazzled you. Swish, swish, swish. The dragon bone kitchen knife glided through the fish, and a thin piece of fish meat was cut, flying up. It was long and thick, and the fish skin was wrapped around the meat, which looked really juicy. Gulp, gulp. Steaming hot air surged up and rose into the air. The soup was done. Bufong scooped it up, ready to use. He put the chopped ingredients into the black turtle constellation wok, then stir-fried them. He added oil and some abyssal chili sauce, which made the aroma of the ingredients in the wok thicker. He scooped up the wok, poured the ingredients into the stone wok, and added the soup. He spurted a heaven and earth obsidian flame under the wok, starting to cook. On the other side, Bufong started to process the fish meat. Half of the wok was filled with hot oil. After it boiled, Bufong took the fish meat, using his chopsticks to pick it up and put it into the wok. White bubbles rose. After the fish meat rolled up, he took it out and put it into the stone wok. After the tender fish meat was dipped in oil, it became elastic. As it was stewed in the stone wok, the aroma unceasingly gathered in the fish meat. With a bang, the golden dragon bone kitchen knife disappeared, and Bufong finished his dish. Blood marble wok fish. You gulped. The aroma lingering in the air made you salivate. It smelled so good. You felt that her mouth and nose were filled with the aroma of the fish meat. Holding the stone wok fish, Bufong looked at you, who was drooling. He couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth. This is for the stone statue Ghost Kings. If you want to eat it, go back to the restaurant, and I'll cook more, said Bufong. When he was cooking the blood marble wok, he made a few more. When he returned to the restaurant, he could eat one more dish. You pouted her lips and nodded. She knew that if she could pick the one leaf of acaron grass, it would depend on whether this blood marble wok fish could attract the two stone statue Ghost Kings or not. No, there are two stone statue Ghost Kings. Shouldn't you make two wok? If you make one wok and it's really delicious, will they fight because of one dish? You was bewildered. Then, she suddenly thought of something. However, Bufong had brought the stone wok fish to the two stone statue Ghost Kings. Boom! Rumble! The thick aroma arose. The two stone statue Ghost Kings shivered. Crushed stones rolled. Their eyes turned, falling on the blood marble wok fish in Bufong's hand. Smells so good. A low, ear-piercing sound arose. A moment later, the two stone statue Ghost Kings moved. Bufong's eyes sparkled. He quickly put down the stone wok fish. From a distance, you dashed. Wufang stomped, following you. He turned into a straight black line, dashing into the area the two stone statue ghost kings were guarding. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.